Chapter 1, 1991. Autumn. As a well-known gangster family, the Cavendi family is unfortunate. 10 years ago, the patriarch of the Cavendi family died in a car accident mysteriously. It was a very strange car accident. There were no witnesses, and even the wreckage of the vehicle was not found. It was as if all traces had been artificially erased. Apart from, also killed was his wife. As a rare large family with a single lineage, only the youngest son Erwin Cavendi is left in the family. With the help of some elders who were loyal to the Cavendi family, Erwin officially took over many of the family's businesses when he was 6 years old. Of course it didn't start well, but they were all calmed down by Erwin with a cruelty that was incompatible with his age. Erwin was also disliked by everyone from the beginning, and foreign enemies were eyeing him. He just relied on iron and blood to protect Cavendi's family legacy. Moreover, now there is only one family left in the Renton Dark World, and that is Cavendi. Of course, Erwin was able to do this because he was not just a child, but a time traveler. He has the memory of an adult, although he did not experience these things in his previous life. But he has watched a lot of movies and TV series. Speaking of which, I have made it this far. His luck accounts for the majority, and of course his supernatural powers that work sometimes and sometimes don't work. Let's call it a superpower. Anyway, when Erwin feels in danger, a strong energy will burst out. This energy protected Erwin, and no one thought that he could be so ruthless at such a young age. Therefore, he stabilized the family and took all the business into his hands. In the old Cavendi house, Erwin sat on the sofa, flipping through the newspaper in his hand. Wearing a decent suit made his figure look very tall and straight. The silver hair comb is cut very reasonably. While reading the newspaper, he picked up the coffee cup next to him and took a sip. He looks like the most orthodox British aristocrat. Who would have thought that this 11-year-old noble boy's hands would already be stained with a lot of blood? Put down your coffee cup, Erwin said. Tom, do you have any idea about my parents' matter? The old butler on the side said, Sorry, Master Erwin, although I really don't want to tell you, I still have no clue. Erwin frowned. You still don't have a clue? It's been 5 years. I've been checking since I took over the family. Until now, you tell me that you haven't found anything at all. There are no clues. Could it be that God took away my parents? The old housekeeper didn't dare to speak. Just then, a figure hurriedly ran into the hall. Master Erwin.
Master Erwin.
Erwin's face instantly darkened. Rivers, I remember saying that, if you yell in the house again, I will cut out your tongue. Rivers trembled instantly. Say quickly. No, Master Erwin. Something is wrong. I really have something wrong this time. Erwin sighed. Then, tell me. If what you want to say is not urgent, then you can say goodbye to your tongue today. Rivers said quickly. That's it. Master Erwin, there is a person outside. An old man. He wants to see you. Erwin said coldly. Meet me? This kind of thing is also called urgent matter? I will meet whoever wants to see me? What, is the other party the royal family? Rivers shook his head. No, but that old man is very strange. I can't tell you. Master, can you go and see for yourself? Several of us tried to pull him, but we couldn't. After hearing this, Erwin became somewhat interested. Because Erwin lives in such an environment, he attaches great importance to personal safety issues. Now all those left in the old house are good players. If these people are just talking about their physical fitness, there is no problem if one of them beats 10. As a result, what does Rivers say now? Several of them could not move an old man. This made Erwin have to wonder, could it be that the hermit masters in the novel came to visit? Do you want to accept him as your disciple and see that he has the appearance of a celestial being? Thinking about it this way, why am I still a little excited? Erwin said. Just bring him in. Rivers nodded. Oh, then I'll go now, Erwin said. Let everyone come in. Take the guys with you. Be on guard. Rivers nodded. Okay, young master. Then, Rivers ran away in a hurry. Erwin sat back on the sofa. I took out a pistol from my waist and checked it to make sure that the bullets were loaded and the safety was on. I felt relieved. No matter what the other party's purpose is, it is always right to be on guard. This is also the way Erwin has always behaved. If it weren't for his strict code of conduct, Erwin might not be alive today. Not long after, Rivers walked in with an old man. Dear Mr. Erwin Cavendi, hello? It's really difficult to meet you. Erwin glanced casually in the direction of the visitor. Then, Erwin's pupils quickly contracted, but it quickly hid itself. He recognized the person's identity. Albus Dumbledore, known as the greatest and most powerful white wizard of this century. He has a strong record of defeating 2 Dark Lords. Erwin was a little numb. No, he traveled to the world of Hogwarts? Damn it. After so many years, he realized that this was the world of Hogwarts. Dumbledore came to see him? It was definitely not for chatting. So, he also has the talent for magic? So, he doesn't have to be a muggle anymore? Thinking of this, Erwin was a little happy. But the question arises, where is his Hogwarts notice? After Dumbledore saw Erwin, a flash of light flashed on the mirror of his eyes. He asked with great interest, "You look like you know me?" Erwin's heart tightened. He knew that his reaction just now made Dumbledore suspicious. Dumbledore has matured. At the slightest clue, he would react. And, most importantly, Erwin was very afraid of Dumbledore. After all, this is an old man who has practiced legilimency to be passive. Damn it, who knows if he will just look over with legilimency. Erwin was not afraid of anything else but that his identity as a time traveler would be exposed. After all, no matter which world they are placed in, the label of a time traveler will always be alien. Dumbledore adjusted his glasses. The interest on his face grew stronger. Erwin saw a blue light flashing in Dumbledore's eyes. Erwin's heart tightened. The next moment, an electronic synthesized sound sounded in Erwin's mind. Chapter 2. Ding! It is detected that the host comes into contact with the magic world for the first time. The system is activated. Ding! It has been detected that someone is snooping on the host's memory. The system protection mode is automatically turned on, and the memory of the host's traveler will be directly hidden. The memories presented are the memories of the host after he came to this world. This protection mode is only suitable for novices. Please host get out of trouble as soon as possible. The protection duration is 3 days. Ding! Protection mode is on. Erwin couldn't care less about the ecstasy in his heart. Instead, he looked at Dumbledore in front of him warily. Sure enough, this old silver coin still used legilimency on him. Erwin was really convinced. Is this old guy really treating legilimency as a passive thing? It's never closed. Whenever you close and open your eyes, legilimency is activated directly. It's really outrageous. After Dumbledore legilimency, a flash of surprise flashed in his eyes. He didn't expect that Erwin's life would be like this. Colorful? Dumbledore can only be described as colorful. However, after using legilimency, Dumbledore didn't notice anything unusual. I can only think that it was because Erwin was a little surprised to see him. As for why he was surprised, maybe it was because his beard was whiter? Erwin had never seen anything so white. Apart from this, he had no other explanation. Dumbledore said, "Child, you should have received the admission notice to Hogwarts, right? I'm here to take you to school." Erwin pretended to be confused and said, "Hogwarts? What is it? What kind of notice?" Hearing Erwin say this, Dumbledore was a little stunned. "Didn't you receive the notice? It's just an envelope, a light yellow envelope. There is an address written in green ink on it. There is no stamp, only your name and address. Behind it, there is an envelope composed of a lion, a snake, a honey badger, and an eagle. The school badge is made up of the shape of H. Didn't you receive it?" Erwin shook his head. He really didn't receive it. Otherwise, wouldn't he have been ecstatic a long time ago? Dumbledore frowned. "You shouldn't. The owl will deliver the letter to you." At this moment, Rivers on the side raised his hand. Erwin taught him this. Raise your hand before interrupting someone. Of course, Rivers dismissed this. However, I still go my own way as usual. But in front of Erwin, he was very disciplined. Because Erwin would really hold him down and beat him up. Irvine saw Rivers wanting to speak. A bad feeling arose in my heart for no reason. Erwin waved his hand. "Say." Rivers coughed twice. "Well, Master, I may know where the notice this old man is talking about is." Erwin said. "Why don't you take it out quickly?" Rivers scratched his head. Master, I can't get it out." Erwin frowned. "What do you mean?" Rivers stumbled and explained. "That's right, that owl came in the morning and kept hooting. Then, I was afraid that it would disturb the young master when you sleep. I caught it." Erwin said. "Where's the notice?" Rivers took 2 steps back calmly. Then he explained, "As you said, all letters and invitations from unknown sources are with bad intentions. You said let us deal with them directly. Those who really want to invite you will come to your door in person." "Neither do I, Master. You know how to read Chinese characters." "I don't know what it is. I just have a stomachache and I'm too lazy to find paper. So, Rivers didn't dare say any more, because he saw that his young master's face had darkened visibly. Erwin said coldly, "Rivers, come here." I'll show you a baby. River's face instantly turned bitter. Is it okay if you don't watch?
Master.
Don't watch? It's not up to you. Just when Erwin was about to take action to clean up this cheating subordinate, Dumbledore on the side stopped him. It's okay, Mr. Erwin. It's just a notice. It's not a big problem. However, the owl is the property of Hogwarts. You need to let him go. Erwin said coldly. Didn't you hear what the principal said? Why are you still standing? Rivers grimaced. Master, the owl is gone. Do you still remember your lunch? Erwin was stunned for a moment. He said that the chicken soup at noon today was particularly delicious. It is completely different from the usual chicken. The meat is extra firm. I also plan to have another meal in the kitchen tonight. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be an owl. Erwin coughed twice. What the hell? Dear Principal, you heard it too. How about I pay how much you want? Dumbledore was also speechless. He has been the headmaster for so many years. No, he has been at Hogwarts for so many years. From students, to professors, to current principals. This has never happened to him. A freshman, a muggle freshman, was caught and eaten by an owl. Dumbledore sighed. What could he do? He ate everything. You can't let Erwin spit it out. The most important thing is that even if it is spit out, this owl will not be the same owl. Dumbledore waved his hand. Forget it. Everything has happened. Erwin breathed a sigh of relief. Okay. Although the family is quite wealthy, Erwin has always adhered to the principle of saving when he can. It's great if you don't have to pay any money. Erwin said. Thank you very much, Principal. However, these owls should be replaced. Being caught so easily has no privacy at all. The corners of Dumbledore's mouth twitched slightly. Good guy. If you listen to this, you still blame their owl for being too stupid? Is it polite? Dumbledore had an idea for no reason. It seems that recruiting Erwin is a wrong decision for Hogwarts. Fortunately, Dumbledore was not the kind of person who believed in feelings. Otherwise, Erwin might have become the first wizard to be dismissed from Hogwarts before school started. Dumbledore said, I will consider your suggestion, Mr. Erwin. You have not received the admission letter, so you don't know something about it. Freshmen at Hogwarts need to buy some things. It's similar to stationery in the Muggle world. Oh, by the way, Muggles are ordinary people who don't know magic. So if you have time now, you can go buy it with me. Erwin nodded. Okay, I'll be fine right now. Tom will go get some money and we'll go shopping. Dumbledore said, By the way, I forgot to remind you that the currency in the wizarding world is not interchangeable with the Muggle world. Pounds can only be exchanged for gold galleons in a small amount. Of course, Erwin knew this common sense, but it was difficult for him to show it in front of Dumbledore. Therefore, he deliberately guided Dumbledore to speak out on his own initiative. Erwin said, Then what currency is used in the wizarding world? Dumbledore flicked his wrist, and a gold coin appeared in his hand. This is it, golden gallon. Erwin nodded. Then I know. It's gold. Tom, go get ready. Chapter 3. Old Tom nodded. Dumbledore said, Although I know you are very rich. However, Gringotts also has restrictions on the exchange of gold nuggets for gold galleons. Erwin said, Be prepared. Although money is not everything, but without money, it will make it difficult for people to move forward. Dumbledore praised. What an interesting statement. Very simple words, but very reasonable. Erwin smiled and said, Whether it is the wizarding world or the world of us ordinary people. Oh yes, you call these ordinary people Muggles. No matter what world it is, its fundamental rules will not change. The only difference is that the wizarding world is just more magical. Dumbledore said, It seems that experience will really make a person wiser. Mr. Erwin, you are excellent. I believe you will be a very good wizard. Erwin bowed slightly. I'll lend you Principal G.N. Not long after, Old Tom came over carrying 2 black boxes. Master, ready. Erwin nodded. Well, Professor, shall we set off now? Do you want me to bring someone with me? After all, I don't know how much I need to buy, and I am young, so I need someone to help me carry my things. Dumbledore said, Of course I don't mind. Let's go. Rivers on the side had some longing in his eyes. He was curious about the world of wizards. So, he wanted to participate. However, it was as if Erwin didn't see the desire in his eyes. Rivers, look after your home. I hope you can take out your rusty head and give it a try. Don't always do stupid things, okay? Rivers said, Oh, I dare not speak anymore. Dumbledore led Erwin out of the old house, followed closely by Tom carrying 2 boxes. The door of the old house. Tom said, Master, Should I let someone drive the car? Dumbledore shook his head. No need to go to such trouble. I will take you directly there and grab my wrist. Erwin didn't hesitate and put his hand directly on Dumbledore's wrist. He smoothly took a box from Old Tom's hand. Let Old Tom free his hands. Dumbledore was not seen making any moves. He didn't even recite the incantation. Then, Erwin felt as if he was being forced into the toilet. The world was spinning for a while. This feeling was really uncomfortable, and Rivers was stunned at this time. He saw with his own eyes the appearance of a vortex, and the bodies of the three people were swallowed by the vortex. Disappear in place. Rivers looked at the people patrolling aside. Asked, "Did you just see it?" The man was stunned for a moment. "What did you see?" Rivers shook his head. He was sure that only he saw it. Is this what wizards do? So scary. The three of Erwin appeared again, already arriving at the door of a dilapidated bar. Of course, only Erwin and Dumbledore can see it. In the eyes of Old Tom on the side, this is just a street corner. Pedestrians passing by didn't seem to realize that three people had just appeared here. Old Tom was pale and very old. After such an experience, I was vomiting all over. Erwin's expression on the side didn't look good either. But I don't know if it's because of his youth or his extraordinary talent. Erwin is not as exaggerated as Old Tom. Dumbledore was a little surprised. What an amazing adaptability. You must know that many young wizards will feel strong discomfort when they use apparition for the first time. It seems that when you learn apparition in 7th grade, you will be able to control it very well when you are disapparating. Erwin took 2 deep breaths. Adjust the status. Said, I also hope it is as you said. At this time, Old Tom on the side also relaxed. Dumbledore said, Okay, let's go in, Mr. Erwin, and welcome to the Leaky Cauldron. Welcome to the wizarding world. After Dumbledore finished speaking, he pushed the door open. Old Tom finally saw the whole bar. He couldn't understand at all. How come a bar appeared in this place? At the same time, there was some fear in the heart towards the existence of wizards. But fortunately, his young master, the most outstanding and youngest head of the Cavendi family, is about to become a member of this incredible existence. A flash of light flashed in Erwin's eyes, as well as uncontrollable excitement. Starting today, he will no longer be a muggle. Finally, he entered the supernatural world. Dumbledore walked into the bar. The wizards who were drinking and chatting fell silent instantly. Say hello to Dumbledore. Dumbledore smiled back. Another Old Tom, the bar owner, came up to him. Professor Dumbledore, we haven't seen you for a long time. Who is this gentleman? Dumbledore said. The new student at Hogwarts, Mr. Erwin, is an outstanding young man. Old Tom said, That's it. Hello, Mr. Irvine. I am the bar owner. They all call me Old Tom. Although this Old Tom has the same name as his butler. But there is nothing unusual about Erwin. The rate of duplicate names for Eagle Sauce is really high. Erwin nodded slightly. Hello, sir. Nice to meet you. Generous, decent, and very polite. Old Tom exclaimed. Look at you. Are you from a pureblood family? Mr. Erwin? Dumbledore felt that Erwin didn't know the definition of pureblood. So he took the initiative to explain. Mr. Erwin is not a pureblood family, but he is still a noble. Well, I will take Mr. Erwin to do some shopping. It's getting late. Let's talk when we have time. Old Tom nodded. Okay, you go first, Mr. Dumbledore. Mr. Erwin, welcome to the Leaky Cauldron bar. Erwin smiled in thanks. Then, Dumbledore and Erwin walked towards the back alley. After the 3 people left, Erwin could still hear the discussion in the bar. Is he a noble from the Muggle world? Polite, with long silver hair. He looks a bit like the Malfoy family. How is it possible? The Malfoy family has platinum blonde hair, and the one just now has pure silver hair. Could it be a pureblood family from another country? Then I don't know. Has Hogwarts started recruiting students from other countries? Never mind that. I heard that Harry Potter will also enroll in Hogwarts this year. Have you heard the news? Erwin raised the corners of his mouth. A pureblood family? He's not interested. However, a noble in the wizarding world? This Erwin is somewhat interested. In the Muggle world, the Cavendi family is already very famous. In the wizarding world, let's start with ourselves. Cavendi's name will eventually become the name of the wizarding world. New representative of the nobility. Chapter 4. Arriving at the back alley, Dumbledore took out his wand. Looking at the wand's shape, which looked like knuckles, Erwin couldn't help but take a second look. This was the Elder Wand. Dumbledore said, Mr. Erwin, you have to remember what I will do next. Next time you come, You have to come in by yourself. First find the third brick above the trash can, and then the second brick counting sideways. As he spoke, the elder wand touched 2 bricks. The next moment, the wall seemed to activate a mechanism and began to overlap layer by layer, revealing the street inside. It was the first time that Erwin saw a scene in a movie or novel appearing in front of him. Erwin was also excited and curious. In fact, Erwin was a little curious about this principle. Can this thing be moved home? Erwin thought there was a way to do it, such as putting a wall in the bedroom. When you order the second piece, you go to the restaurant, and when you order the third piece, you go to the bathroom. Click the 5th piece and go to the garden, etc. Erwin has already thought of many wonderful uses. This is much more convenient than the elevator. Dumbledore put away his wand and asked, "How is it? Do you remember it?" Erwin nodded. "Remember? But what if this trash can is no longer here?" Dumbledore smiled. "What an interesting idea. Before you, 2 of your seniors also had this idea. They even put it into action. They moved the trash can. But unfortunately, this trash can was the restoration spell is applied. When it leaves its location, it will automatically go back. So, the problem you are worried about does not exist." Erwin said, "What a magic." Dumbledore smiled and said, "Okay, you will learn more about magic in the future. This is a brand new world. I believe that with your intelligence, you will shine brilliantly in this new world. Now, let's go to Gringotts to change some money. Otherwise, you won't be able to spend money in Diagon Alley today." Erwin nodded. Then he followed Dumbledore and walked deeper into Diagon Alley. Diagon Alley is not long. It is just a street, and the end of the street is where Gringotts is. The gate of Gringotts is divided into 2 levels. The first level is 2 huge bronze doors. On both sides of the door, there were 2 goblins in crappy dresses doing reception work. The second door is 2 silver doors dotted with golden lines. There are warnings carved on the door. "Come in, stranger, but be careful what happens if you take things too hard. Getting something for nothing will be severely punished. So if you want to take it from our underground vault, it will be a piece of wealth that never belonged to you. Thief, you have been warned not to bring treasure, but evil retribution." Erwin was dismissive in his heart. In the original book, the so-called safest Gringotts seems to have been attacked once or twice. The most important thing is that Erwin really doesn't understand why these wizards would trust all their wealth to the care of these so-called goblins. Goblins, greedy, they have provoked wars because of greed. The most important thing is that these goblins are from a different race, and their hearts must be different from those of our race. Don't these wizards understand this? In other words, these wizards are so confident that they can control goblins. Go through the second door and enter the spacious marble hall. Erwin glanced around at the approximately 100 or so goblins sitting behind the long counter, scribbling entries in the large ledger. Some use scales to weigh coins, and some use eyepieces to detect gems. The entire marble hall can be said to be magnificent. Gemstones, gold coins sparkle. Dumbledore took Erwin directly to the front desk. A bespectacled goblin adjusted the glasses on his nose. After seeing the person clearly, he quickly jumped down from the taller, long-legged stool. "Hello, Professor Dumbledore. Welcome to Gringotts. How can I help you?" Dumbledore nodded. "Mr. Erwin wants to exchange some gold galleons. As for me, I need to take something away." The goblin nodded. "I understand. Shall I take you there now?" Dumbledore looked at Erwin. "Can you do it yourself?" Erwin nodded. "Of course. Professor, go and do your work. I can handle it myself." Dumbledore bent down to Erwin's ear and lowered his voice and said, "Goblins are very greedy. If you think the price is not right, you can try using my name, although I am very old. But it works." Erwin nodded. "Thank you, Professor." Dumbledore smiled and followed the goblin away. Erwin looked in the direction Dumbledore left. His brows furrowed slightly. He felt that Dumbledore was being a little too nice to him. Erwin didn't think much about it after Dumbledore left. Soon another goblin came to receive him. With Dumbledore's name on display here, the process of exchanging gold galleons was unexpectedly smooth. Erwin exchanged 2 boxes of gold bars for 5,000 gold galleons. Weighing the gold coins in hand, Erwin thought it was reasonable. While Dumbledore hasn't come back yet, Erwin began working on his own system. He has never bothered to study his golden finger, but now he has to study it carefully. After all, this will be the foundation for him to gain a foothold in the magic world. Erwin thought silently in his mind, "System, is it here?" Ding. The strongest reputation card drawing system is at your service wholeheartedly. Hello, host. Erwin's heart moved when he heard this voice. This name, inexplicably, has a sense of déjà vu from some cheating games in previous lives. System, please introduce your role. Ding. This system allows the host to draw cards with reputation, and the rewards include but are not limited to spells, talents, etc. The currency used in this system is the reputation value of the magic world. In order to facilitate the use of the host, the system has digitized all the existing information of the host. Do you want to view it? Of course, Erwin did not hesitate and directly checked silently. The next moment, a virtual light curtain opened in front of Erwin. Erwin looked around. Both Old Tom and the goblin looked as usual. Obviously, only Erwin can see this light curtain. Name, Erwin Cavendi. Age, 11 years old. Identity, the current patriarch of the Cavendi family, a freshman at Hogwarts. Talent, Transfiguration talent, 3 out of 10. Normal charm talent, 4 out of 10. Dark magic talent, 9 out of 10. Potions talent, 6 out of 10. Ancient magic talent */10. Not unlocked. Needs special ways to unlock. Pets, none. Special skill card, none. Magic mastery card, none. Props, none. Current reputation value, 50. Chapter 5. Looking at his own panel, Erwin felt more and more like this was a game. But, can anyone explain it? Why is his dark magic talent 9? Almost full? He has always considered himself a good person. Of course, no good person can hold a gun and kill a rival gang leader who wants to seize territory at the age of 7. Of course, his arm ended up suffering some pain from the recoil, but this cannot hide that he is a kind person at heart. Erwin somehow felt that this system was somewhat unreliable. Moreover, what is that ancient magic? Erwin asked the system, but the system asked Erwin to explore on his own. Erwin was disdainful in his heart. He really pulled his crotch and let himself explore everything by himself. After Erwin closed the system panel, the communication system has opened the lottery again. The next moment, rays of brilliance emerged. Then, cards of various colors flew out in the air. Then he made 3 piles of cards in front of Erwin. The special effects are so gorgeous. But for some reason, there were always 4 words shaking in Erwin's mind. Ape God, start. Erwin shook his head quickly. Damn, this thing looks so similar. They were all twisted by him. Erwin quickly looked at the 3 card piles. Basic lottery, cost, 100 reputation points once, 10% off for 10 consecutive draws. A guaranteed blue reward for 10 consecutive runs. A guaranteed purple reward for 100 consecutive runs. Advanced lottery, cost, 1,000 reputation points once, 10% off for 10 consecutive draws. Guaranteed purple reward for 10 consecutive runs. Guaranteed golden reward for 100 consecutive runs. Special lottery. Special unlocking conditions are required. Erwin looked at the prize pool and had some concerns in his mind. The basic lottery is intended for poor people like him. Is this a novice benefit? As for the special lottery, this Erwin is somewhat interested. System, what does this special lottery mean? Explain it first. Ding. The special lottery needs to be opened in a special way. Good quality and low price. The special lottery and the novice card pool lottery can currently be opened. Whether to start the special lottery. Erwin's eyes lit up. Hey, there is also a special harvest. Turn it on. Turn it on for me right away. Ding. The special lottery has been replaced by the novice lottery. The upper limit of the lottery is 10 consecutive draws. The lottery costs are free. Erwin suddenly became excited. Got it. He knows this trick very well. What the hell? It's just a big gift package for newbies. Novels are like this. It is the key to the rise of the protagonist. The system's voice fell. I saw the pile of special lottery cards changing colors, floating slowly in front of Erwin. Erwin raised his hand and tapped the back of the card. Then, the sound of shuffling cards came. Then, cards flew up one by one. Various colors are intertwined, including white, green, and blue. 7 cards flew up in a row. Then, a purple light flashed suddenly. Erwin's eyes widened. Purple, purple is coming. Then, the card began to tremble slightly. 2 swishing sounds came through the air. Then, a dazzling golden light lit up. Erwin almost sat up in excitement. The golden legend is still a double yolk egg. Sure enough, he is the European Emperor, the powerful European Emperor. Extract the story of Dragon Blind and retell it in the magic world. He is indeed the son of destiny. Ding. The lottery is completed. Get the reward. White reward. Big knife meat X3. Green reward. a toy figure from the childhood of the original Dark Lord Grindelwald. Magic Potion, Cut Corners version. X2. Blue reward, talent points X2. Erwin's expression changed. What the hell? Big knife meat? Spicy strips? Is this reasonable? Is this something that should appear in a time traveler's plugin? Let's talk about the green reward, Grindelwald's toy figure. What? A spell was cast. A curse was cast? You smoke something like this for me? The key is, this thing is actually on the same level as the magic potion. Erwin had so many things he wanted to say, but he couldn't start. However, magic potion is not bad. Legend has it that this thing is very scary. The reason why ancient wizards were so strong was because they drank this. However, after Erwin saw it clearly, his face became darker. Cutting corners version? Are you sure you can drink this stuff? It won't kill you if you drink it? What the hell is this weird thing? Is this prize pool serious? Take 2 deep breaths. At least, there are 2 talent points, right? This thing is actually blue? According to the settings of General Krypton Gold games, the value of this thing may not be that simple. Is it that it will have other functions in the future, such as an upgraded version? Ding. The host is very smart. The system is very pleased. That's right. The current upper limit of the host's talent is 10 points, and ordinary talent points can upgrade the host's talent to 10 points. If the host wants to continue to increase, it needs advanced talent points. Advanced talent points, which requires 100 ordinary talent points to synthesize. The corners of Erwin's mouth twitched slightly. Okay, let's play like this, right? Sure enough, Krypton Gold games can never escape this layer of skin. Erwin asked, how about this? Give me a reference. Let me know what the upper limit of this talent is. At least I know it in my mind. Take the host's highest black magic talent as an example, Grindelwald, with 14 points of black magic talent, legendary level. Erwin understood. He thought he was a genius when it came to co-writing, but actually he was a loser. Erwin had nothing to say. Keep checking for your own gains. If you are tired, just destroy it. You are not satisfied at all. Purple reward. Variety-changing clothing. This clothing never wears out and can be changed in color at will. It has 30% resistance to various magic spells. Erwin looked at this reward and had already forgotten about the hot chicks he had just drawn. Good stuff. This is good stuff. Such a person, even Dumbledore would be weakened by 30% in front of him. This is simply an artifact. Erwin's eyes gleamed. The purple reward is so precious. What if this is a gold reward? Erwin couldn't wait to continue looking at his golden reward. Golden reward. Unknown eggs contain unknown mysterious life. If hatched by the host's own hands, they will become the host's pets. Hatching method. Fed with the blood of various magical animals, the current hatching progress is 0/100. Erwin touched his chin. This seems to be a dog betting thing. However, the system can be reduced to gold, so the things inside must not be simple. Erwin moved on to the next reward. Golden reward. Special passive skills. Talent type. Mana reserve. The host can store the mana that has grown beyond its own maximum storage value in the past as a mana reserve, and when needed, it can directly mobilize it to replenish itself. Erwin was immediately happy. This thing is a bit over the top. Theoretically speaking, if you have enough reserves, wouldn't it just transform into a perpetual motion machine? Erwin quickly received it. Chapter 6. As for the 2 talent points, Erwin thought for a moment and directly added both points to the ordinary magic talent. After all, now he needs to accumulate strength as quickly as possible. The speed and proficiency in mastering magic spells determine his strength. Then, Erwin called the system in his heart and opened the system panel. Name: Erwin Cavendi. Age: 11 years old. Identity: the current patriarch of the Cavendi family, a freshman at Hogwarts. Talent: Transfiguration talent, 3 out of 10. Normal charm talent, 6 out of 10. Dark magic talent, 9 out of 10. Potions talent, 6 out of 10. Ancient magic talent */10. Not unlocked. Needs special ways to unlock. Pets, none. Special skill card. Mana reserve, gold. Magic mastery card, none. Props, Big Sword X3. Magic potion, Cut Corners version, X2. Grindelwald's puppet, current reputation value, 50. Erwin nodded with satisfaction. Overall, this system is pretty good. Those messy props can also be placed in the system's reward backpack. As long as you don't receive it, you won't take it out. It's a pity that things other than system rewards cannot be collected. Otherwise, Erwin would have a portable space. Wouldn't this be a blessing? Erwin closed the lottery interface. This lottery for newbies is quite exciting. It's a pity that it can only be drawn 10 times in a row. This novice gift pack is not impressive at all. Picking and searching. But, forget it, understand it. After all, it is a petty system, and you can't ask for too much from it. After drinking the black tea on the table, Dumbledore also came back. Mr. Erwin, I've been waiting for a long time. Erwin stood up quickly. Professor, you are back. You are so polite. Dumbledore smiled and asked, how is it? Is the exchange ready? Erwin nodded. Of course, the title of professor is still very useful, Dumbledore said. In that case, let's leave. Erwin nodded and followed Dumbledore out of Gringotts. Standing at the door of Gringotts, Dumbledore said, for a little wizard, the most important thing is his wand. This may be something that will follow a wizard for his whole life. Now, let's go and buy a wand for you. Erwin was excited. The wand, the wizard's weapon, is no less important than the gun in his hand, as he is from a mafia family. Dumbledore took Erwin straight to the most famous shop in Diagon Alley. It is also the starting point for every wizard. Ollivander's Wand Shop. Professionally retarded for many years. Wait, he seems to have used a typo. Of course, it doesn't matter. Standing in front of Ollivander's Wand Shop. Look at this famous check-in place in Diagon Alley. It would be a lie to say I'm not excited. Dumbledore also expressed some emotion. I still remember the first time I came here. At that time, I was as old as you. Here, I got my first wand, and so many years passed in the blink of an eye. It's over. Things in the past still appear in my mind as if they happened yesterday. Dumbledore actually wiped his eyes as he spoke. Erwin was a little speechless. He had forgotten this very important thing. That is, the older he gets, the more he likes to miss the past. Dumbledore calmed down for a while and said, Sorry, Mr. Erwin, you know it too. When you get older, you like to remember the past. Although Erwin was speechless, but he said, It's okay, Professor. Time is a sharp blade. While it brings trauma to people, it also leaves indelible traces. Memory is sometimes the most precious thing. Dumbledore nodded, his eyes full of approval. Mr. Erwin, your insights and your unique metaphors really amaze me. Erwin smiled and said, Professor has given me the award. Do we want to go in now? Dumbledore said, Of course. You will choose the wand that suits you best here. After that, Dumbledore opened the door directly and entered the store. Several jingling bells rang. Then there was the sound of friction between the sliding stairs and the ground. Ollivander poked his head out from among the huge cabinets. After seeing Dumbledore, a flash of surprise flashed in his eyes. Professor Dumbledore? Long time no see. Dumbledore nodded. Yes, it's been a long time indeed. Would you mind coming down first and helping our little wizard choose a wand? Ollivander came down from the ladder and came to the counter. His eyes fell on Erwin. Erwin nodded slightly. Hello, sir. Ollivander said in surprise. What a standard aristocratic etiquette. This young gentleman, which family do you come from? Erwin said. Cavendi. Ollivander asked in confusion. Cavendi? A family I have never heard of. Is it a foreign pureblood family? Erwin shook his head. No, but I think soon you will hear the name of the Cavendi family, because I came to the magical world. Dumbledore's eyes flashed when he heard Erwin's words, but it was quickly hidden. Ollivander was also stunned for a moment. Then he smiled and said, Interesting new student. I'm looking forward to that day. So, can you tell me your name? Erwin. Erwin Cavendi. Ollivander nodded. Then Mr. Erwin, tell me, which hand is your main hand? Erwin raised his right hand. The next moment, the tape measure on the side automatically floated up, measuring Erwin's height and arm length. The tape measure even measured Erwin's chest and waist. Erwin didn't understand, but he was shocked. Excuse me, what does the use of the wand have to do with the bust and waist size? He can understand the height and long arms. Are the bust and waist measurements really necessary? Then, the tape measure retracted, fell on the table. Ollivander said, What a perfectly proportioned figure. Mr. Irvine. Erwin's mouth twitched slightly. Co-author, is choosing a magic wand actually a beauty pageant process? Ollivander wrote and drew on the paper for a while. Then he took out a box from the counter and reached out to open it. Take a wand out of it. Try this one. It's made of ash wood and combined with the heartstrings of the Tyrannosaurus. Only stubborn, determined, and brave people can use it well, he said and handed the wand in his hand to Erwin. Erwin took it in his hand and waved it casually. Then, a beam of energy flew directly from the wand. falling on the floor aside. The floor was shattered instantly. Erwin frowned. I don't know if it's an illusion. He felt as if the wand was resisting him. This feeling is very strange. Erwin handed the wand to Ollivander. Sir, I think this wand may not be suitable for me. Chapter 7. Ollivander said, Mr. Erwin, you have to remember that it is the wand that chooses its owner, not you that chooses the wand. However, you are right, this wand is really not suitable for you. Then Ollivander took out another box from the counter. He took out a wand from inside. Try this. Cedar wood matches the fur of the cat and leopard. In fact, I don't like to use the fur of the cat and leopard because it is very unstable. There are many restrictions, but it goes well with the cedar wood. Strong personality and keen observation, a person like this is best suited to use such a wand. Erwin took the wand, and it was still a familiar process. When he swung the wand, he saw a ball of fire suddenly emerging from the top of the wand, straight to the roof. Dumbledore on the side snapped his fingers lightly. The flame on the wand was immediately extinguished, and Erwin felt that resistance again. Ollivander snatched the wand. Put it back in the box. No, it's not this. Next, Erwin tried a few more wands, but there's still that sense of resistance. Ollivander frowned. What a picky guest. In that case, I think you only have one choice left. Then Erwin didn't wait for a reaction. Ollivander ran towards the back. Erwin was confused. Has this old man always been so hot-tempered? After waiting for a few minutes, Ollivander came running back. There was some dust on my shoulders and hair. He was holding a wooden box in his hand, with a layer of dust on the wooden box. Ollivander blew a breath. Dust scatters. Erwin frowned and took 2 steps back quietly. Ollivander opened the box and took out strangely shaped wands. This wand looks thinner than a normal wand and is entirely silver. It's very similar to Erwin's hair color, except for the first time, the handle of the wand, wrapped in 2 golden substances. It looks very nice. Ollivander said, this wand is made of acacia wood. I don't know what the core is, because it was made by my grandfather. Acacia wood is a very special material. It will only be used in its lifetime. If it recognizes a master, no one can use it to cast spells except its own master. And the acacia tree will only choose those who are truly gifted, so as long as it can be recognized by it, it will burst into terror. The power of the wand. The wand itself was made by hand. My grandfather did not carve a single detail. The shape was already formed when the core and the body were fused. Try this. When Erwin saw this wand, his eyes were immediately attracted to it. This wand was so beautiful. In addition, Erwin also felt a throbbing in his heart, as if the wand was calling him. Erwin subconsciously raised his hand. The next moment, the wand flew into Erwin's hand automatically. Ollivander looked surprised. The moment he took the wand into his hands, Erwin felt as if his arm and the wand were one, like a finger arm. He waved subconsciously. Streams of silver light flew out from the wand. Silver light scattered from Ollivander's wand point, sweeping every shelf. In Ollivander's horrified eyes, all the wands on the wooden shelves burst out of the boxes, floating in the air. In Ollivander's wand shop, wands were flying all over the sky, and these wands trembled slightly against the wand in Erwin's hand. It seems to be worshipping and congratulating. Ollivander was stunned. This is so amazing. It's so amazing. In Diagon Alley, every pedestrian also noticed the movement in Ollivander's wand shop. People gathered around to watch this rare spectacle. Dumbledore was also surprised, because at this time, his elder wand was actually trembling slightly. Relying on his tyrannical strength, he forced down the elder wand. His eyes fell on the wand in Erwin's hand. Of course he knew about the acacia wood, but the acacia wood alone would never cause such a big movement. It seems that the only change is the unknown core in the wand. There are more and more people outside the store. Dumbledore said, Mr. Erwin, put away your wand. Otherwise, we may not be able to get out. Erwin turned to look, startled. I saw a large number of wizards surrounding the door and windows. No wonder the system just prompted the reputation value to be credited. Erwin quickly pulled his arm back. As Erwin retracted his arm, the silver brilliance on the wand also began to dissipate. The wands automatically flew back into the box one by one. It was as if everything that had just happened was a fantasy. Dumbledore said, Congratulations, Mr. Erwin. You have chosen an amazing wand. Erwin nodded. Looking at the magic wand in his hand, there was uncontrollable joy on his face. The wand did surprise him. He could feel that the compatibility between him and this wand was too high. The most important thing is that this wand has a password. No one can use it except him, and it works better than fingerprint unlocking. Ollivander said, "It's amazing. In all my years of living, this is the first time I have seen such a magical sight. Unexpectedly, this wand found its owner today." Erwin said, "Thank you, Mr. Ollivander, for causing you trouble. How much does the wand cost?" Ollivander said, "No trouble. You can see such a magical sight. It's worth it. As for this wand, just give me 10 gold galleons." Erwin nodded. Old Tom behind him paid immediately. Ollivander said, "Mr. Erwin, please use this wand properly. I can feel its power. I hope to see the day when you make your Cavendi family famous." Erwin smiled. "I will." Ollivander took out a larger box from the counter. "This is my gift to you. A wand care tool and a small tool for using the wand. You can hang it on your arm. When you need to use the wand, you can pull the wand in this position. It will just slide down." Erwin took it. "Thank you so much. I have to say, this thing has really solved my urgent need." Ollivander smiled and said, "You're welcome. It's my honor to be able to help such an outstanding little wizard like you." Dumbledore on the side said, "Okay, the time is almost up. We have other things we need to buy. Otherwise, we won't have enough time." Erwin nodded. "Say hello to Ollivander. Follow Dumbledore away." Dumbledore thought for a while. "Next, it's time to buy the study materials that the freshmen will need for the first semester. Flourish and Blott's bookstore is our best choice." Chapter 8. Erwin secretly rolled his eyes. Not the only choice. There is no second bookstore in Diagon Alley. Otherwise, the shop in Diagon Alley is making money. This is all a monopoly business. Unlike buying a magic wand, buying books, cauldrons, and other things in the bookstore afterwards was smooth and hassle-free. After paying the money and leaving, Erwin also got his first pet, an owl. It's worth mentioning that I don't know if Hogwarts has any traditions. When shopping with a newborn, you must give a pet as a gift. Erwin's owl was also a gift from Dumbledore. After ignoring Dumbledore's suggestion to name the owl Cockroach Pile, Erwin has a new owl named Poppy in his home. At the last stop, Erwin and Dumbledore came to Madame Malkin's robe store. Although Erwin already has a variety of clothes, he can't tell Dumbledore about this. So you still have to buy the clothes you need to buy. After buying the robe, it means that Erwin's trip to Diagon Alley is officially over. After Dumbledore sent Erwin and Tom back to the old house, Dumbledore said, "Okay, today's trip is over. I have to leave too. Mr. Erwin, see you at Hogwarts." Erwin nodded. "Professor, won't you stay for dinner?" Dumbledore shook his head. "No, I have other things to deal with." Erwin nodded. "Then there will be no more professors. Thank you very much for your hard work today." Dumbledore smiled and said, "It's okay. Goodbye." Then, Dumbledore disapparated and left directly. Erwin looked in the direction Dumbledore left. A glint flashed in his eyes. Are you going to deal with the magic stone? The magic stone and so on are a bit far away from him now. Moreover, Erwin actually doesn't have much interest in the magic stone. It's just false immortality. After Erwin had a bite of food, he went back to the room directly. As for old Tom, he was taken away by Rivers to inquire about things in the magical world. Ask Erwin, Rivers wouldn't dare. Erwin didn't mind either. Now that we know this world is a magical world. After that, his focus will gradually shift to the magic world. However, the time is not right yet. He needs to lay out slowly. His men are all ordinary people, and of course, for most wizards, firearms are still deadly. Even Dumbledore could have been killed by a sniper rifle if he was not careful. The wizard's health is very poor. Relying on magic, it may not even be as good as ordinary people. Therefore, it is not impossible for Erwin to enter the wizarding world. But before that, he had to have some foundation in the wizarding world. Slytherin is undoubtedly a good choice. The students who can enter Slytherin are basically the so-called purebloods. This power cannot be given up casually. The only question is, can he be sorted into Slytherin? He is an authentic Muggle family. But it seems that the original book said that the sorting hat will consider the student's own wishes. Let's talk about it then. There's still some time before school starts. This kind of thing that is beyond his control is what Erwin least likes to think about. Erwin took out the ever-changing suit from the system reward backpack. It started out as a robe. Erwin put it on. In front of the mirror, I thought. The ever-changing wardrobe can be transformed directly into a black suit. Erwin nodded with satisfaction. In addition to being immune to 30% of magic damage. What pleased Erwin the most was the clothes, which were dust-proof. In other words, the clothes will not get dirty. This is simply good news for Erwin, who has a severe mysophobia. Erwin straightened his clothes and thought. The clothes on my body turned directly into pajamas. Erwin sat by the bed, planning to look through the Hogwarts books. At this moment, suddenly, a flash of inspiration flashed through Erwin's mind. Erwin stood up quickly, run to the desk, open the drawer and take out a file bag from inside. Then he took out the black and white photos inside and placed them on the table. This is the file about what happened to his parents. A question suddenly occurred to him. When he investigated the cause of death of his parents before, he always investigated it from the perspective of ordinary people. But this is a magical world. The reason for his parents' death is very strange. No trace could be found at the scene. There is something weird everywhere. This has become an obsession in Erwin's heart. He was born from the womb and was an orphan in his previous life. Since his birth in this life, his parents' love and care for him can be called doting. So in his heart, Erwin recognized the two of them very much. When I learned about the death of the two people, Erwin felt a little broken, having enjoyed the care of his family for a year. As a result, his parents died. Over the years, Erwin has been looking for clues to the death of his parents. However, there was no gain at all. But now, after knowing that this world is a magical world, there seems to be an explanation for the unreasonable circumstances surrounding the death of my parents. There are so many doubtful points that are unreasonable, and of course ordinary people cannot do it. But what if the other person is a wizard? If the other party is a wizard, everything seems to make sense. Only wizards have such power. Can do this. However, Erwin couldn't figure it out. Why would wizards attack ordinary people's parents? If you dare to attack an ordinary person, the opponent must be a dark wizard. Don't be afraid of being traced by the Ministry of Magic. However, according to time calculation, Voldemort should have fallen in the year he was born. Because I am the same age as Harry Potter. This afternoon when he was at the Leaky Cauldron in Diagon Alley, he heard the wizards talking about Harry Potter enrolling this year. So, it has nothing to do with Voldemort, but a wild dark wizard? Then what is the purpose of the other party's attack on his parents? Found by a rival family? If the enemy family had this ability, I would not have the chance to let the Cavendi family reach this stage now. Long dead. The local families in Renton are now either destroyed by themselves or driven out of Renton. I haven't seen anyone with such connections. The most important thing is that Erwin has already investigated these families over the years. The current situation was turbulent at that time, so there were few major frictions between families, not to mention assassinating the other party's head. Erwin gently rubbed his temples with his fingers. He felt a little headache. It seems that I have found a clue, but it has become more confusing because of this clue. Shaking his head, Erwin was too lazy to think about it. I can't even think about it. After he enters the magic world and integrates into the magic world, he will have more ways to find out the truth of the year. Now it is basically certain that the person who did it in the first place was 99% from the magical world. If he continues to investigate along this line, Erwin can be sure. One day he will know all the truth. Chapter 9. Erwin thought for a while about what he needed to do next. He found that he still had a lot to do, whether it's about your parents or for a better life for yourself in the future. After all, I am used to having one hand cover the sky. The magic world is like playing a game and opening up a new map. It needs to be mapped slowly. Therefore, no matter what the purpose is, Erwin must now increase his influence in the magical world. This point coincides with my own golden finger. Although Erwin is confident that he will stand at the top of the magic world, it will take a long time. Erwin couldn't wait. Leaning back in the chair, Erwin closed his eyes. I roughly sorted out what happened next. After having a plan in mind, Erwin finally remembered the purpose of today. He wants to study magic spells. Pick up the basic encyclopedia of magic spells from the side. Erwin opened it casually. At this moment, the system prompt sounds. Ding. The host's first contact with magic has been detected. The special magic card pool lottery is activated. Do you want to replace this card pool with a special lottery card pool? Erwin was stunned for a moment. I didn't expect such an unexpected gain. Replace. Ding. The replacement is successful. The special magic card pool has been activated. This card pool will only draw magic-related items. This time, 50 consecutive draws. Do you want to draw now? Erwin was ecstatic. He had caught it. He really had caught it. 50 draws in a row. Isn't this so satisfying? Erwin didn't hesitate either. Direct communication system starts the draw. The familiar deck appears again. Erwin directly clicked 10 draws in a row. Above the deck, the number of remaining draws is reduced by 10. 40 50ths. Then, the card pile flew into the air. Swish, swish, swish. Subsequently, cards flew out one by one. Erwin's eyes widened. Mouth silently. Gold, gold, gold. Ding. The lottery is over. Rewards will be distributed. Reward. Magic Proficiency X 700. Get rewards. Magic Spell. Flying Curse X2. Magic Spell. Floating Spell. Ding. The magic level is unlocked. Do you want to check it now? Erwin didn't have time to complain about his harvest. His attention was attracted by the system's beep, the level of the spell. Erwin clicked the View button. Magic Level 1. Preliminary Mastery. There is a chance that the release will fail. Magic Level 2. Requires 100 proficiency levels to upgrade. Basic Mastery. Can be released perfectly. Magic Level 3. It requires 1,000 proficiency points to upgrade. With Perfect Mastery, you will become more comfortable in releasing magic spells and can use the least amount of magic power to create stronger effects. Magic Level 4. 10,000 proficiency levels are required to upgrade. You can cast spells without spells. Magic Level 5. 100,000 proficiency required to upgrade. You can cast spells without a wand. Same spell cards. Each one can be exchanged for 100 proficiency points. Erwin didn't expect that this system was quite user-friendly. The level of this curse is quite clear at a glance. Don't tell me, this thing is pretty good. Erwin also understood why he could draw the same spell card. It's a bit like developing a game. After understanding the settings of this system, Erwin continued to draw cards. It feels good to draw cards for a while, and it feels good to keep drawing cards. After a while, a full 40 passed. Erwin's face became darker and darker. In the entire 40 rounds, Erwin had not seen even one gold. I tallied up my current gains. Flying Curse X13, Floating Charm X10, Occlumency X6, Expelliarmus X4, Magic Proficiency X700. I can't say it's very profitable. I can only say it's not a loss. However, although my luck is indeed a bit worse. But these spells are quite practical. At least for Erwin now, it is quite useful. Among them, Occlumency is the most important. The system is protected for only 3 days. Therefore, this also means that after 3 days, Erwin's mind will enter an undefended state. When the time comes, an individual will be able to use Legilimency on him. Erwin asked the system, if Dumbledore's Legilimency is activated without a wand, it only requires level 3 Occlumency. Similarly, level 3 Occlumency can already protect against more than 90% of Legilimency. If you think about it, Dumbledore has cultivated the upper limit of others to passiveness, which is simply outrageous. But if Dumbledore used Legilimency with all his strength, the kind that included the magic wand, and the magic wand would be full of firepower. You need level 5 Legilimency. Dumbledore had already used Legilimency on him. Therefore, within a short period of time, he should not be tempted to take action against him again. What really makes Erwin wary is other people. There are many people in the wizarding world who like to use this thing. Seeing that there are only 10 draws left, Erwin sighed. He had given up hope. Love as much as you like. It's ruined. He understood this lottery clearly. This is definitely from Goose Factory. This probability is really outrageous and touching. My only conscience is that there is no option to thank you for your patronage. Otherwise, Erwin felt that he might have to draw a thank you review 30 times. It was outrageous. He had never felt that he was so dark before. Erwin casually clicked on the lottery button. The next moment, the deck of cards was shuffled. Then, a golden light suddenly appeared. Erwin jumped up from his stool, withdrew the money. He finally withdrew the money. Heaven, earth. He also has today. However, after the golden light, another purple light flew out. Erwin's eyes lit up. Good guy. It turns out they are all waiting behind you. Although the previous draw was not smooth, there is still a rainbow after the storm. Erwin started looking at the reward. Ding. The lottery is over and rewards will be distributed. Magic, Expelliarmus X3. Magic, Iron Armor Curse X2. Magic, Call the Gods and Call the Guards X1. Magic Proficiency X200. Special prize pool with 50 consecutive purple guaranteed prizes. The Unforgivable Curse Gift Pack, which includes the Life-Killing Curse, Cruciatus Curse, and Soul-Seizing Curse. A 3-in-1 gift pack. You deserve it. Golden Reward. Magical Animal Affinity. All magical animals will be close to you involuntarily. From now on, you will become the only druid. Erwin looked at the last 10 items drawn out in a row and felt extremely satisfied. Although this golden reward does not seem to have any improvement in combat power. But this is not the case. There are many magical animals in the wizarding world, and many magical animals are exceptionally powerful. Thunderbirds, dragons, and the like. Therefore, the tyranny behind this skill is far beyond Erwin's imagination. Erwin clicked to learn all the spell cards, and all the excess were broken down into proficiency levels. As streams of light penetrated into Erwin's mind, Erwin directly learned these spells. Miraculous. Chapter 10. Then, Erwin opened his personal panel. Name: Erwin Cavendi. Age: 11 years old. Identity: the current patriarch of the Cavendi family, a freshman at Hogwarts. Talent: Transfiguration talent, 3 out of 10. Normal charm talent, 6 out of 10. Dark magic talent, 9 out of 10. Potions talent, 6 out of 10. Ancient magic talent */10. Not unlocked. Needs special ways to unlock. Pets: none. Special skill card: Mana Reserve, gold. Magical Animal Affinity, gold. Mastery of magic spells: Flying Curse, level 1. Floating Curse, level 1. Iron Armor Curse, level 1. Expelliarmus, level 1. Acclemency, level 1. Summon the Gods and Guards, level 1. The Death Curse, level 1. The Imperious Curse, level 1. And the Cruciatus Curse, level 1. Magic Proficiency, 5100. Props: Big Knife x3. Enchanting Potion, Cut Corners version, x2. Grindelwald's Puppet x1. Variety Suit x1. Mysterious Egg x1. Acacia Wood Wand. Current reputation value, 600. Looking at his own panel, Erwin nodded with satisfaction. This wave of draws has given him a foothold in the magic world. Erwin asked in his mind, "System, can I obtain this magic proficiency through practice?" Ding. Yes, the host can gain skill proficiency through his own practice. The system is just down. It cannot replace the host. Erwin nodded. If that's the case, he doesn't need to rush to use system proficiency. He can definitely practice it by himself first. Erwin simply threw the book in his hand aside. Ridiculous. You still need to read a book when cheating? Why do you look down on me? Erwin flipped his wrist and the wand slipped into Erwin's hand. Erwin held his wand and cleared his throat. The first time I cast a spell, let alone, I was quite excited. Erwin recalled how to use the levitation spell in his mind. With a wave and a shake. Wingardim Leviosa. It was calm and nothing happened. Erwin's face turned dark. What the hell? The first time you cast a spell, it failed like this. He is the protagonist. Erwin, who did not believe in evil, planned to try again. This time, he planned to be more formal. He thought it might be because his attitude just now was not correct. Hence the current result. Erwin coughed slightly. Then, cast it again. In the blink of an eye, half an hour passed. Erwin's face was as black as charcoal. There is a vague aura surrounding him, and this aura is called resentment. God knows what half an hour. What did Erwin go through? He cast spells more than 50 times in total, and all the magic power in his body was used up. The success rate is less than half. Erwin had to admit the fact that it seemed that his qualifications were not really strong. Just when Erwin was upset, outside the window, a bird kept chirping. Erwin shouted, getting even more upset. Erwin was in a bad mood when he heard the noisy bird song. The wand was waved subconsciously. Avada eats the big melon. Then, Erwin was stunned. I saw a green light flying directly out of Erwin's wand. The bird was hit by the green light and fell asleep. After this sleep, I couldn't wake up. Erwin seemed to understand something. The system's talent rating seems to be a bit scary. He seems to have a natural talent for black magic. But soon, Erwin realized a problem. System, is there any trace supervision of my wand? Ding. It was there at the beginning, but as the host of the system has the responsibility to help the host eliminate all possible risks, so Tracer has been eliminated by the system. This is quite humane, so he can experiment with confidence. Erwin shouted, "Tom." There was a knock on the door. Tom, the old butler, opened the door. "What's wrong, master?" When Erwin was awake, old Tom would stand guard at the door of the room, just in case Erwin needed anything, such as now. Erwin said, "Where are the 2 people we caught last time who came to our territory to step on the plates?" Although Tom didn't know why his young master suddenly asked this matter, but he still hurriedly said, "Rivers has imprisoned them. You said last time that they might be needed at some point, so don't kill them yet." Erwin nodded. "Ask Rivers to bring the people over. Now is the time to use them." Old Tom nodded. "Okay, Young master, I'll go now. Then old Tom turned and left. Erwin plans to give it a try. Is his talent for black magic really that good? Is it luck or something like that? Half an hour later, in the forest not far from the old house, two people were kneeling on the ground. Both of their faces were full of horror. Rivers put the two of them in a row like a chicken. Erwin and old Tom walked into the woods. Rivers came running quickly. Master! Rivers nodded. After the two men saw Erwin, they quickly shouted, Master Erwin, don't kill us. Please, don't kill us. Erwin ignored them. Instead, let everyone except Rivers and old Tom wait outside the forest. Then, Erwin took out his wand. Rivers and old Tom looked at Erwin curiously. Rivers' face was filled with excitement. From old Tom's mouth, he already knew the wonders of the magical world. Lowering his voice, Rivers asked, Is the young master going to cast a spell? Old Tom put his finger to his lips. Quiet, Rivers. If you don't want the master's magic to fall on you. After hearing this, Rivers became quiet instantly. Erwin pointed his wand at one of them. Heartbreaking and bone-cutting. On the wand, a black-green light shot directly towards the person kneeling on the ground. The next moment, screams came one after another. Erwin put away his wand. The man was already lying on the ground, his face full of fear and pale. Beads of sweat covered his forehead. Erwin frowned. There is a strange thing, according to the original book. When the unforgivable curse is cast, you must have strong negative emotions if you want to succeed. For example, when you release Big Melon, you must have a strong desire to kill the opponent. The same goes for cruel heart cutting out. You must have a strong desire to torture the other person in your heart. But when he was released, he completely forgot about it. Just wave your hand, and it is released directly. Is this the bonus of level 9 black magic talent? Erwin was a little helpless. He was really a good person. Looking at the people on the ground with frightened faces. Don't tell me, this unforgivable curse is really useful. Chapter 11. Erwin opened his panel and took a look. It was discovered that the Cruciatus Curse and the Death Curse had only been released once, and they had directly risen to the second level. And the Flying Curse has only just reached the second level after using it so many times. This made Erwin a little confused. System. Explain. What's going on? Ding. The number of degrees gained by using magic spells is related to the talent of the host. The higher the talent of the host, the more proficiency gained in a single time. The corners of Erwin's mouth twitched slightly. Okay, no need to say any more. He already understands. This is forcing him to take the path of a dark wizard, who still remembers that he was really a decent person. Sighed. Erwin flicked the wand in his hand and flew 2 Cruciatus curses towards the two people. The next moment, wailing sounded again in the forest. Of course you should use such a good sandbag well. Half an hour later, with Erwin's unremitting efforts, his Cruciatus Curse and Imperious Curse have both been raised to level 3. Needless to say, this is a huge improvement. After another level up, you can directly cast spells silently. However, Erwin did not continue practicing. As for the reason, those two guys have gone crazy. Rivers and old Tom on the side were very frightened. They witnessed with their own eyes the horrific torture the two men endured. Rivers quietly asked old Tom beside him, Tom, does the young master have a new hobby now? What a scary hobby. Old Tom glared at Rivers. Really, he felt too tired sometimes. Why do I always have such pig teammates around me? Can this be asked directly? Even if you want to ask, just ask in private. Sure enough, the next moment, Erwin's death gaze was directed at the two of them. Old Tom stood up straight and turned his attention to what was going on outside the window. Rivers got no response from old Tom. He pulled old Tom's sleeve doubtfully. I'm asking you a question. Old Tom. How dare old Tom ignore Rivers? At this moment, Erwin's voice came. Rivers, take some exercise during this time. I'm wondering if you are so strong. You can withstand a few more Cruciatus curses than the two of them. Don't let me down. Rivers suddenly tensed up. He turned to look at Erwin in horror. Erwin flicked his wrist. Avada, choose the Big Melon. After 2 consecutive curses, 2 green lights flew towards the two people who had been tortured crazy. Afterwards, their faces quickly turned gray. In the blink of an eye, there was no life left. Rivers was horrified. Master, I was wrong. Erwin snorted coldly. Let's go. Go back. Of course he was trying to scare Rivers. Rivers is extremely loyal to Erwin and is known as Erwin's #1 hyena. The only shortcoming is that he has a bad brain and a mean mouth. Erwin didn't care about the corpse in the forest. Of course there are people who can handle it. And no trace can be found. In the blink of an eye, half a month flew by. The time has come to August 30th. He hasn't been idle for a day and a half this month. I practice all kinds of magic every day. Therefore, his current magic level has simply risen sharply. Erwin opened his system panel and looked at the magic column. Magic Mastery, Flying Curse, Level 3, Floating Curse, Level 3, Iron Armor Curse, Level 3, Expelliarmus, Level 3, Occlumency, Level 1. Summon the Gods and Guards, Level 1. The Death Curse, Level 3. The Imperious Curse, Level 4. And the Cruciatus Curse, Level 4. Magic Proficiency, 5,100. Yes, this is the harvest of Erwin's unremitting efforts for half a month. Among them, summoning the gods and summoning the guardians and occlumency. These two Erwins couldn't find a way to practice them. He had practiced the remaining spells to Level 3. As for the Imperious Curse and the Cruciatus Curse, for being able to progress so quickly, Erwin really has to thank Ingjiang for such a chaotic world. There are really endless kinds of bad guys. These people were all captured by rivers and became Erwin's experience babies. If Erwin is given a month, Erwin is confident that he can upgrade all the spells to Level 4, which is the level of all spell-free spells. Unfortunately, there is no time. Although Hogwarts is said to start on September 1st, but the little wizards actually arrived at Hogwarts on the 31st, classes officially begin on September 1st. Today, Erwin plans to give himself a holiday and a day of rest. After all, he was quite tired from practicing magic spells every day. Moreover, it would take him several months to go to school, and family matters also needed to be settled. At least it must be ensured that there will be no problems in the family while Erwin is away from the family. Looking at his remaining 5,001 spell proficiency, Erwin thought for a moment. It took 2002 to upgrade both Occlumency and Call of Gods to Level 3. Erwin had to admit that adding more points was really much more comfortable than practicing on his own. After looking through the other spells, none of them can be upgraded. About to close the system panel, Erwin suddenly saw that his reputation value had unexpectedly increased to 2,700. This was an unexpected surprise. After asking the system said it was because of the big commotion he made when he bought the wand, and now it has spread to a small extent among wizards. That's why I collected so much reputation points. The reputation value of 2007 is just enough for Erwin's basic lottery draw of 30 consecutive draws. Erwin started drawing money without hesitation. Swish, swish, swish. Ding. 10 consecutive draws are over. Get the reward. Weilong Spicy Tiao X4. Coca-Cola X3. Stinky Socks Worn by Unknown Beings X2. Blue Guaranteed Reward. Talent Points X1. Erwin's face turned dark instantly. Sure enough, he shouldn't have any expectations for this basic lottery. Lottery can connect you to the earth, but you cannot connect to the underworld. Excuse me, what are smelly socks? Erwin directly took out the messy things in the system backpack and threw them into the trash can. Oh no, the Dao Ro and Weilong Spicy Tiao. Erwin stayed. I haven't eaten this stuff for a while, and I'm quite hungry. Erwin started 10 consecutive draws again. Suddenly a purple light shone into Erwin's eyes. Ding. Congratulations to the host for being so lucky and winning the purple reward. Shorthand Quill X3. Bawang Anti-Hair Loss Shampoo X2. Curry-Flavored Bath Soap X3. Blue Guaranteed Reward. Talent Points X1. Purple Reward. Space Ring. Castrated version. With a capacity of 12 cubic meters. The corner of Erwin's mouth twitched slightly. He could understand the rest, but what is the curry-flavored bath liquid? Erwin didn't bother to think about it. At least there was a purple reward, wasn't it nice? And it's also a space ring. Although this world has a traceless extension spell, but Erwin doesn't. I also plan to go to Diagon Alley to see if I could buy a box with a traceless extension spell cast on it. Now it's done. It saves trouble. Chapter 12. Erwin immediately extracted the space ring. Then, a ring appeared out of thin air. Erwin looked at the ring in his hand. On the ring is a purple lotus-like symbol. It happens to be the same as the Cavendi family emblem. Erwin liked it immediately. Put the ring on your finger, and the ring will automatically shrink and trap Erwin's finger, making it a perfect fit. Erwin looked at the ring on his index finger. This thing is really a good thing. Then, Erwin started the last 10 draws. However, to Erwin's surprise, another purple light flashed past. Erwin was stunned. Good guy, are you so cool today? He had forgotten the first time he smoked 10 times in a row, and how furious he looked after finishing it. There are only 2 words in my heart now. Excitement. Ding. The lottery is over and rewards will be distributed. B. Blue guaranteed reward. Talent points X1. Purple reward. Apparition set X1. Contains apparition spell card X1. Customized apparition opportunity X1. Exclusive mark. Erwin looked at the last purple reward and was confused. What the hell is this? Erwin directly chose to extract. Then a wave of memories rushed into Erwin's mind. Erwin understood. I won't talk about the spell cards. The so-called customized apparition is just like Death Eaters turning into black mist and flying away, and members of the Order of the Phoenix turning into white light and flying away. It is an improved version of apparition specially created by the owner of the organization. It can teleport or it can flight. Secondly, the exclusive mark is the mark belonging to Erwin, the dark mark of Voldemort, and the Phoenix blessing of the Order of the Phoenix. They are all the same effect, which is used to use a special version of apparition. Erwin scratched his head. Why did he seem to be more and more like the Dark Lord? It seems that I am lacking some supporters now. Well guys, the matching ritual markers are all ready. Erwin directly used his magic proficiency to pull his apparition to level 3. Later, Erwin pointed his finger at the opportunity to customize the apparition. Ding. Customizing is in progress. Please wait. Ding. Customization successful. Do you want to watch the effect video? Erwin nodded. Good guy. This thing can also be previewed. Okay. Then, a light curtain popped up in front of Erwin. The next moment, Erwin's figure appeared on the screen. Erwin's figure flashed on the screen. The next moment, a purple light flashed. Erwin's body disappeared in place, and where Erwin was standing just now, a purple lotus was slowly blooming. Erwin was shocked. Handsome. So handsome. He really liked it. Erwin clicked OK without hesitation. Then, a memory came into Erwin's mind. It's a new way to use apparition. Compared with the original version of apparition, it uses less magic power, and it can fly and teleport. Isn't this much easier to use than a flying broomstick? Later, Erwin prepared to test his marking ability. He called Tom into the room. Tom, hold out your arms. Tom raised his arm without any hesitation. Erwin then touched his wand on Tom's arm. There was no panic on Tom's face, only curiosity. A purple lotus symbol slowly appeared on Tom's arm. Erwin then took back his wand. Tom, this is a mark that belongs to me. When you feel the mark on your arm getting hot, it means I am calling you. When you need to contact me, you can also call my name at the mark. I will sense. Tom nodded. Erwin's mark is different from the dark mark and the Phoenix mark, and is produced by the system. One more function than them is that Tom can call Erwin through the mark, and Erwin can detect it immediately. Erwin drew back his wand. Okay, contact the other responsible persons and ask them to come to the old house for a meeting. I have something to explain. Tom nodded, then turned and left. After Tom left, Erwin tried to activate his mark. Miraculously, he could even feel where old Tom was. I have to say, this thing is really useful. It's a pity that old Tom has no magic power. Erwin plans to do some research after entering the magic world to see if there is any way for people without magic to obtain magic. Or can something magical be extracted from the system? In that case, these people under him can completely become a big family in the wizarding world. Rather than redeveloping his subordinates, Erwin still prefers his original Cavendi family members. After all, these people are 100% loyal to Erwin. The process of the meeting was very simple. Erwin explained the general details. When he is away, Old Tom is responsible for the management. If Old Tom cannot handle it, Old Tom will contact him. For convenience, Erwin also went to Diagon Alley 2 days ago. I bought an owl specifically for Old Tom to contact him. The next day, August 31st. Today is the day Erwin leaves for Hogwarts. Early in the morning, Old Tom helped Erwin pack his things. Wait at the door. Erwin yawned and walked out of the room. Morning, Master. Erwin nodded. Yes. Are you ready with all the things I asked you to prepare? Old Tom nodded. Everything is ready, young Master. It's in the basement. But, do you really need to bring these things? Erwin said, be prepared. Come on, let's go over and take a look. Old Tom nodded. Then the two came to the basement. Basement door. Rivers is already waiting here. After seeing Erwin, he quickly ran over. Master, you're awake. Erwin nodded. Yeah, let's go in. Rivers quickly opened the basement door. As the door to the basement opened, the things piled in the basement came into view. On the ground, there are guns, pistols, AKs, and even grenades and RPGs. Yellow bullets were placed in a pile aside. Rivers said, Master, are you going to expand your business in a new place? You need so many equal tools. So many guys are enough to support a medium-sized attack. Erwin rolled his eyes. Don't be a fool. Tom said, Master, I don't think you need to bring so much. Besides, you can't bring these. Erwin raised his hand and waved. Guns and bullets flew directly into the air, focusing on the ring in Erwin's hand. Old Tom and River's eyes widened. Amazing magic. Wait until the basement is cleared. Erwin touched the ring on his finger, and sure enough, he felt an overwhelming sense of security in his heart. You can't blame him. Although every child of Daxia lives a peaceful life, due to the influence of his charming ancestors, he suffers from insufficient firepower syndrome. Chapter 13. On the way to the station, Erwin allocated his remaining 3 talent points to his black magic talent and transfiguration. The black magic talent reaches 10 points directly. Upgrading further will require 100 talent points. Erwin doesn't have that strength yet. The reason for adding some transformation talent is because Erwin's transformation talent is too poor. It was only 3 points, and now it has become 5 points after adding points. Erwin probably can handle ordinary courses. After I get to Hogwarts, I will have the opportunity to add some points, so I'll tell you when I draw them. After all, there are so many little wizards in Hogwarts, and they all have the best wool. At the entrance of the train station, a large car stopped slowly. Pedestrians passing by looked this way. There was an envious look in his eyes. The station entrance. A young man looked at his girlfriend next to him with envious eyes. I couldn't help but say, I will buy this car in the future too. No need to look at other people's. The woman rolled her eyes. Just you? You can pull me down. The young man was about to retort, but suddenly I felt like I was covered in shadow behind me. Turn around and look. He was so scared that he collapsed on the ground. I saw a giant standing behind him. The giant was accompanied by a child. This strange pair is Hagrid and Harry Potter, the destined protagonist of this world. Hagrid saw that he had scared someone and asked quickly, Are you okay? However, the young man retreated hastily. You, don't come here. Hagrid curled his lips, even though as a hybrid giant, he had experienced this kind of look many times. But he will also feel a little uncomfortable in his heart. Harry Potter looked at the big car with envy in his eyes. But it was quickly covered up. He is going to enter the wizarding world, and he is no longer the same as before. No matter how rich muggles are, they have no influence on him. He doesn't need to envy anyone. Having seen all the weird things in the magical world, his horizons have also grown a lot. At this time, Hagrid slapped his forehead. It's broken. I forgot something. Harry, you have to take the Hogwarts Express by yourself. I have something to do. Harry Potter nodded. Okay, Hagrid, Hagrid said. Then we will see you at Hogwarts. Harry had a smile and longing on his face. Nodding vigorously, Yes, see you at Hogwarts. Then, Hagrid turned around and left in a hurry. In the car, Erwin also noticed this strange pair. A knowing smile appeared on his face. Harry Potter and Hagrid. Interesting, Tom. The butler in the front row quickly turned his head. What's wrong, Master? Erwin said. Let your men pay attention to that big man. If that big man encounters trouble in the Muggle world, remember to help him. Don't be too deliberate, just let him know who is helping him. Erwin didn't forget that he also had a pet egg. This Tamagotchi requires the blood of a magical creature to hatch. If you have the help of Hagrid, the guard of the Forbidden Forest, collecting the blood of magical animals will become very simple. Tom nodded. Then he got out of the car and opened the door for Erwin. Erwin got out of the car, and many people stood there waiting to see who would get off the car. Harry Potter is among them. After seeing Erwin, everyone was amazed, and Harry looked at Erwin's decent suit. He looked down at his clothes again. I couldn't help but feel a little inferior, lowered my head, and turned around to walk towards the station. Erwin straightened his clothes, said, Okay, you go back. I can go in by myself. Old Tom bowed. Okay, young master. Then, young master, you take care of yourself. If you need anything, please contact me in time. Erwin waved his hand, then walked towards the station. On the platform, Harry Potter looked at the ticket in his hand. My head is full of questions. He has already asked several people where platform 9 3/4 is, but the station staff thought he was mentally ill. This made Harry Potter very helpless. I was already feeling a little anxious. Is it possible that he was stuck on the train even after entering school? That's so sad. Just when Harry Potter was in trouble, a voice came from behind Harry Potter. You seem to be looking for platform 9 3/4. Harry Potter turned to look. A flash of surprise flashed in his eyes, and he recognized that the person who came was getting out of that luxury car. Erwin looked at Harry Potter in front of him. In fact, he didn't mean to get close to Harry Potter. It's just platform 9 3/4. Erwin found it. However, he always felt that his head against the wall was a bit outrageous. Although this is recorded in movies and novels. But Erwin felt that seeing was believing, and he needed a test subject. At this time, the protagonist Harry Potter appeared. A very suitable guinea pig. Harry Potter asked, "Are you also a student of Hogwarts?" Erwin nodded. "Yeah, that's right. I'm a freshman too." "You look like a freshman too. I happen to know how to get to platform 9 3/4. Do you need me to take you there?" Harry Potter said happily, "Thank you very much. My name is Harry Potter." Erwin nodded. "My name is Erwin Cavendi." Harry Potter was stunned. "Cavendi?" Erwin smiled. Sure enough, the Cavendi family is really famous in Renton. Even Mr. Harry Potter, who lives in a cupboard, knows that. Erwin said, "Yes, it's the Cavendi you thought of." Harry Potter swallowed. There was a little more fear in his eyes. After all, the reputation of the Cavendi family is really too great. Erwin didn't mind either. "Walk towards the front. If you don't want to miss the train, I suggest you catch up." Harry Potter heard this. He quickly jogged to keep up with Erwin. Soon, Erwin found the pillar in the original work based on his memory. Erwin pointed to the pillar in front of him. "Just push your cart, crash into it, and you'll be there." Harry Potter was stunned. "Crash? Crash into?" Erwin nodded. "Yes, just run in. You have no choice now. You can only believe me. I don't have any hobbies of lying. So, do you want to try?" "Mr. Potter." Harry Potter gritted his teeth. He thought Erwin was right. Harry Potter then thanked him. He pushed the cart and rushed over without hesitation. People who don't know think he is going to die generously. Erwin was also a little surprised when he saw Harry Potter sinking directly into the wall. "Good guy, this thing is really unscientific." After someone tested it, Erwin did not hesitate. Just when Erwin was about to hit the wall, hearing noises, Erwin turned his head and looked. The red-haired group, the poor people of the Weasley family, are here. Chapter 14. Erwin had no idea of greeting them and walked to the center of the two pillars. Erwin felt a magic covering him. Only then did Erwin understand why wizards running into walls would not be noticed by passing muggles. It seems that this pillar has been enchanted. A wizard who enters the center of the two pillars will be hidden from muggles. Understand the rationale. Erwin walked towards the stone pillar. Without hurrying or slowing down, his body was swallowed directly by the wall. The next moment, Erwin only felt that the scene in front of him changed instantly. A steam train stopped on the track, whining and steaming. They are wizards who send their children to school. Erwin turned his head and glanced at the wall. Separated by a curse, two worlds. Sure enough, the magical world is very unscientific. Erwin walked directly towards the steam train. There is no ticket-checking process. Getting in the car was hassle-free. Erwin found an empty box and sat down, leaned firmly on the seat. Not long after, the train started slowly. The train had just started. The box door was opened. A head poked in. "Well, the other boxes are full. Can I?" Erwin himself was closing his eyes to rest, and after hearing the sound, he opened his eyes to look. Redhead, damn, poor guy. "No, get out." Ron didn't expect Erwin to say that. They all have one foot in the box. There was a moment of embarrassment. Erwin frowned, closed the door. Ron was angry, but he didn't dare to show up. It can also be seen from Erwin's clothes that Erwin is not something he can afford to offend. He himself is a cowardly and brainless person. The reason why the original dared to confront Malfoy was because he had Harry Potter by his side. Facing Erwin alone now, he was really timid. "How dare you stab me? I can only leave in despair." Erwin didn't like Ron, and when he read the original novel, he was very annoyed. Forget about saving face. If conditions didn't allow it, Erwin would have given him a shot. There is no reason. It's just that he is happy with it. He is a time traveler, so what happened to his willfulness? It's not like he doesn't have willful strength. Erwin closed his eyes. "I plan to close my eyes and rest." At this moment, the box door was opened again. Erwin did get a little angry this time. What the hell? It's not over yet. Erwin ran his finger across the ring. He forcibly resisted the thought of taking out the AK. "Open your eyes." "Hello. Excuse me, have you seen a toad?" Erwin looked at the furry head at the door of the box. "Suppress the anger in your heart. For the sake of you being Hermione Granger." Among the trio, Erwin's favorite is Hermione. As for the reason, regarding the casting issue, Hermione looks too good-looking. Although he later became disabled, Erwin looked at Hermione. She was very good. She looked just like in the movie. Erwin said, I haven't seen it, but I can find it. Do you need me to help you? Hermione was surprised. You can find it? That's great. I've already found half a train. The little fat man behind Hermione also had a look full of anticipation. Erwin turned his wrist, and the ring on his finger flashed with an imperceptible brilliance. He had already put the wand into the space ring. Isn't this thing more convenient than others? As for the tool that Ollivander gave to quickly extract the wand, Erwin could only let it gather dust. Erwin looked at Hermione. What's the name of Toad? Hermione looked at the little fat man behind her. Neville, what is your Toad's name? Mr. Neville Longbottom still conceals his courage, so when faced with Erwin's inquiry, he didn't dare to speak at all. After Hermione asked, Neville timidly said, Lifu, it's called Lifu. Erwin rolled his eyes. He's so cowardly. What is he afraid of? Erwin waved his wand lightly. Come on, the third-level flying spell will never fail. So, of course Erwin had to show it. However, Erwin forgot one thing. Or maybe he allowed the novel to mislead. After all, every protagonist in a novel will encounter something like this, followed by a flying curse. Erwin naturally has to respect novels. After all, he is also the protagonist. But he ignored one problem. The flying spell is to make things fly directly over. So, it has a trajectory along the way. This leads to a result. When the Toad came to Erwin, several people came at the same time. The leader has platinum blonde hair. It looks somewhat similar to Erwin's silver one. Just by looking at his hair color, Erwin knew who he was. Draco Malfoy, Harry Potter's official match. Platinum Gold Glory, the master of fighting. However, at this time, Malfoy's face was full of anger. On the right side of his face, there was a red mark. It seems that a toad leg can be vaguely seen. Erwin must have whipped it quite hard. After all, the toad was limping after being thrown to the ground by Erwin. Quite pitiful. Malfoy glanced around. His eyes fell on Erwin. To be precise, it was the wand that fell in Erwin's hand. Malfoy looked Erwin over. Thought for a moment. He said, Who are you? Erwin was a little surprised. Darling, Malfoy actually knows how to test the enemy? Shouldn't it be Emil right up there? Damn it, Malfoy has a brain. Erwin said, New student at Hogwarts. Malfoy tried to wrap his head around Erwin's identity. From Erwin's dress and demeanor, he felt that Erwin was probably from a pure-blood family. Malfoy turned to look at his two followers, Goyle and Crabbe. The two shook their heads. He indicated that he didn't know Erwin either. Erwin saw the performance of the three. Somewhat funny. Okay, don't think about it, kid. I'm not from your pure-blood family in the wizarding world. Malfoy heard this. There was no reaction for a moment. His limited brain capacity was overloaded by Erwin's words. Erwin was helpless. No, shouldn't he beep a few words at this time, and then pretend to gain reputation by himself? What is he silent about? Erwin felt that he was a little deeply affected by the novel. Simply, he plans to omit the process directly. I saw a flash of light from the wand in Erwin's hand. Expelliarmus. Afterwards, Malfoy jumped directly into the air. Fly out upside down. He fell heavily to the ground. In the carriage, there were many students watching the fun. Harry Potter and Ron were among them. To be precise, the two of them were the first to arrive. Because when Malfoy was slapped in the face by the Toad, he happened to be showing off his power at the door of their box. As a result, the next moment, he was slapped directly in the face by a flying toad. Malfoy stood up with difficulty. His eyes were full of doubts. Why did you hit me? Erwin twirled the wand in his hand. Because I think you are going to scold me. Chapter 15. As soon as Erwin said this, the whole carriage fell silent. Malfoy also looked at Erwin with a confused face. His eyes were full of confusion, and his walnut-sized brain really didn't understand what Erwin meant. Yes, when he heard that Erwin was not from a pure-blood family, he did plan to attack. But for God's sake, he really didn't want to curse directly. After all, due to the education he received since childhood, he would say different things to different people. For example, when facing Weasley, he can scold him casually, because in Malfoy's eyes, he is nobler than Weasley. But the Erwin in front of him made Malfoy unable to feel this way, because Erwin's temperament is really outstanding. Compared to the pure-blood families he knew, it felt more noble. As a result, his words were knocked away before he even left his mouth. Ron and Harry Potter, who were peeking on the sidelines, were also a little surprised by what Erwin said. Ron was scolded by Erwin and humiliated by Malfoy. So in his opinion, these two people are not good people. At this time, Harry Potter was completely opposite to his thoughts. Maybe it's a preconceived notion. Erwin had helped him, and he didn't like Malfoy as a person. Erwin taught Malfoy a lesson, which subconsciously made him like him. Erwin didn't know this at this time, otherwise Erwin would definitely call him bad luck, a savior or something. Isn't that just a disaster? Goyle and Crabbe, two followers, quickly ran to Malfoy's side, helped Malfoy up. Malfoy looked at Erwin with anger and fear in his eyes. After all, the child has never been beaten since he was a child. Naturally, I have never met someone like Erwin who takes action without any reason. Yes, in Malfoy's view, Erwin is the kind of person who is unreasonable and takes action without any reason. Looking at Malfoy's angry eyes, Erwin raised his eyebrows slightly. Huh? You seem to still want to scold me. While talking, Erwin gently shook the wand in his hand. Seeing this, Malfoy was immediately frightened. No, I didn't mean it. Malfoy was truly horrified. Disarming curse: if the opponent does not have a weapon in his hand, he will be knocked away directly. For details, please look at the part where a certain unlucky Death Eater was directly blown away by Hermione in the original novel. Although it is not fatal, it is really painful if it falls to the ground. Erwin snorted. Then you still won't leave? Malfoy was stunned for a moment. Then he turned around and ran away with his two followers. The speed is called fast, as if there is a dog chasing behind your butt. After the three people left, some students who were watching the excitement also left one after another. Erwin yawned. Calculating the time, it should take another 2 or 3 hours to get to Hogwarts. Just when I was planning to go back to rest, an Asian girl walked towards Erwin. Beautiful flying spell and disarming spell. Are you really not from a pureblood family? You are too skilled in magic. Erwin shook his head. No, I just practiced before school started. The Asian girl stretched out her hand. What an amazing talent. My name is Zhang Qiu, of course, according to the Western name. They all call me Qiu Zhang. The corners of Erwin's mouth rose, and it turned out to be her, the only Asian character to appear in the original series. And it's not the movie version. Judging from his appearance, he should be the novel version of Zhang Qiu. Erwin estimates that this world is a fusion of novels and movies. As for the reason, it may be some special settings that are force majeure. Erwin gently shook Zhang Qiu's hand. Hello, my name is Erwin. Nice to meet you. Zhang Qiu. Erwin said this sentence in Chinese. Zhang Qiu was stunned for a moment. Surprised. You can actually speak Daxia dialect. Erwin nodded. Daxia is a very mysterious and ancient country. In my opinion, it is the most beautiful country in the world. It is also the greatest country. There is no one. Zhang Qiu nodded. I have the same idea as you. I really hope you can be assigned to Ravenclaw. We will definitely get along very happily. Erwin smiled. Maybe. At this moment, one of Zhang Qiu's classmates called her. Zhang Qiu said, if you have a chance, you are welcome to go to Daxia. I'll leave first. Erwin nodded. Okay. Thank you for your invitation. I will go. Then, you will have to work hard to be my tour guide. Zhang Qiu smiled and said, your Daxia language skills don't require a tour guide. After saying that, Zhang Qiu trotted away. Erwin looked at Zhang Qiu's leaving figure. I couldn't help but sigh. Being young is so full of vitality. Is what you just spoke in Daxia dialect? Erwin turned around and saw that Hermione was still standing nearby. Also standing there was the submissive Mr. Neville Longbottom. Erwin nodded. Yes, Daxia. Okay, now that the toad has been found, I'm going back to rest. Hermione said. I see there is only one person in your box, and I am too lazy to run back. Do you mind joining us? Erwin said. If you can keep quiet, yes. After saying that, Erwin walked directly into the box. Hermione didn't mind either. Looking at Neville aside. Neville, do you want to come with us, or go back to the box? Neville said. I'd better go back. I'm a little afraid of that gentleman. Hermione ignored him, nodding. Okay, then you have to take good care of your toad. If unfortunately it is lost again, there will be no second Mr. Erwin to help you find the toad with the flying spell. Neville nodded hastily. Hermione didn't know that her mouth was open. Toadlife's journey of loss has just begun. Where is the toad running through Hogwarts? At this moment, filming officially begins. After Neville left, Hermione walked directly into the box. Erwin is resting. Hermione said, did you use the flying curse just now? I saw it in the book. But isn't that a spell that can only be learned in the 3rd grade? And the disarming curse? Isn't that a spell that can only be learned in the second grade? Why did you? It can be released, and it's so skillful. Erwin felt his head was buzzing, and he regretted letting Hermione share a box with him. He forgot that in addition to being a know-it-all, Miss Granger was also a curious baby. 100,000 whys. The representative figure who breaks the casserole and asks the truth. Hermione saw that Erwin didn't answer. He asked doubtfully, "Are you asleep? Why don't you speak? Did I disturb you?" Erwin's face darkened. Well, Miss Hermione Granger, you really deserve your title." Helpless, Erwin opened his eyes and said, "First of all, I asked someone to teach me the curse. Secondly, this lady, I hope you can recall what I said before entering the box." Chapter 16. Hermione said, "Oh, as for what she said before entering the box. Are you talking before entering the box? Why doesn't she remember?" Of course she didn't care. Hermione continued, "Did you grow up in the wizarding world? Are your parents also wizards?" Erwin was helpless. Sighing, forget it. He didn't want to sleep now anyway. He couldn't sleep even if someone was chattering next to him. And it seems to be coming soon. Erwin said, "I'm not. My name is Erwin Cavendi. If you live in Renton, you should know my name." Hermione recalled it for a moment, and then her expression suddenly changed. "Cavendi? Is it that Cavendi?" Erwin's eyes lit up. Hey, it seemed like he had an unexpected surprise. If he could scare Hermione away, then he could rest for a while. Erwin nodded. "Yes, it's the Cavendi, you know." However, what happened next was something Erwin never expected. Hermione said, "I heard my father say that your family ended the era of the dark forces in Renton and created a new dark order. After you appeared, the security in Renton has improved a lot." Erwin was stunned for a moment. So, is Cavendi's reputation so good now? Erwin grew up in a peaceful era, so he would not touch some businesses at all. Since he took over Cavendi, some businesses have been banned by him. In some gray industries, the methods are also more mild, more humane. Therefore, workers in many gray industry chains are grateful to the Cavendi family. Hermione didn't get any feedback from Erwin, and she wasn't discouraged. He continued, "My father said that you are the youngest godfather in the history of the world. You are also a legend that cannot be copied. How on earth did you do it? You can do these things at such a young age." Erwin asked doubtfully, "What did your father say? Why do you hear this? Your father often tells you about me?" Hermione nodded. "Yes, my father respects you very much, because before the Cavendi family appeared, Renton was in chaos. My father is a dentist. He is often harassed by those people and collects protection money. Sometimes there are even 4 or 5 waves of people coming in a day. But after the Cavendi family became popular, they stipulated the management fee that each family needs to pay. It will only be paid once a month, and we will not be harassed. My father is very grateful you." Erwin suddenly realized that this was what happened. If that's the case, can he run for mayor? He seems to be quite popular with the people. Sure enough, he is really a good person. Hermione was still talking to herself. "By the way, do you have a favorite house? I read a book, and there are 4 houses in Hogwarts. Why don't you say anything? Is it because you are not familiar with the 4 houses? I can tell you. The first is—" Hermione hadn't finished speaking yet. Erwin raised his hand and stopped him. "What a warm-hearted Miss Granger." Erwin said, "I know the 4 major colleges. No need to introduce them to me." Hermione looked a little disappointed, as if she felt unhappy that she had lost an opportunity to show off. Hermione asked, "Then which house do you want to go to?" "I really want to go to Gryffindor. The book says that those powerful magicians, including the current principal of Hogwarts, are all from Gryffindor." "Oh, and Professor McGonagall, who came to take me shopping in Diagon Alley. She is the head of Gryffindor. I really admire a strong woman like her. She is cultured and generous. I want to be like that too, people." Erwin gave a thumbs up. "Good Miss Granger, you really have an idea. Becoming an older cat lady is not something that most people can handle." However, in the original book, Hermione later became the Minister of Magic, which should have fulfilled her dream. Erwin said, "Don't believe too much in books. Does Gryffindor have to be the strongest? Are there no powerful wizards in other houses?" "The 4 houses of Hogwarts have their own characteristics and are suitable for their own talents. Is the most important thing. In my opinion, Ravenclaw is actually the best place for you. There is a world of top academics. Gryffindors are all little lions. Although they are brave, they are very reckless. They are not good at studying either. You should know that learning requires an atmosphere." Hermione frowned. and it could be seen that she was indeed considering Erwin's words seriously. Erwin also wanted to try to see if the iron triangle could be separated. The main thing is to have fun. As for the so-called Gryffindor producing more powerful wizards, Erwin does not deny this. But there are no powerful wizards from other colleges. Take Voldemort, Slytherin. It's just that he can't be written down in the book, and it is actually very simple to produce talents in Gryffindor. Hogwarts is sorted according to the sorting hat, although Erwin doesn't know how the sorting hat works. But that thing itself belongs to Gryffindor. Erwin feels that if the four founders were injecting ideas into the sorting hat, it would not be impossible for Gryffindor to be selfish. Therefore, young wizards with good qualifications are all pushed into Gryffindor, which leads to the phenomenon of Gryffindor having talented people. Of course, this is Erwin's idea. Erwin doesn't know the specific situation. Hermione said, "You are right. However, I still don't know what Hogwarts sorting needs to do. It's not written in the book. I don't know if I can go to Ravenclaw. I think so. I feel worried again." Erwin looked at Hermione's tangled little face and felt funny in his heart. Maybe only a top student like Hermione would think about these things every day. Adding so many worries to myself at such a young age. Erwin said, "The sorting of Hogwarts is very simple. It's just a hat. Put it on your head, and the hat will tell you which house you should go to." Hermione was surprised. A hat? Can this be accurate? This is a matter of a lifetime. Isn't it too hasty? Erwin said, "A thoughtful hat. If you don't mind, you should actually call him Mrs. Grandpa. This hat may have existed longer than the earliest generation of your family tree." Hermione said, "A thinking hat? Oh my God. I've never seen anything like it." Erwin said, "You will see a lot in the future. The magical world, a brand new world. Your door has been opened for you now. When the sorting hat sorts the houses, it will take the little wizard's own ideas into consideration. If you want to go to Ravenclaw, you can give it a try. Maybe the sorting hat will sort you there directly." Chapter 17. Hermione was surprised. "Is this still possible?" Erwin said, "Just try it, just in case it works. You won't lose anything if you try it." Hermione nodded. "You're right. But according to what you said, Ravenclaws are all top academics. Will I be unable to keep up if I go there? I'm a little worried." Erwin rolled his eyes. "Darling, Miss Know-It-All is actually afraid that she can't keep up with others' progress. A person who holds a time converter and uses it all for studying is actually afraid that he will not be able to keep up with the progress." "What a cold joke." Erwin said, "You don't have to worry. Wizard schools are actually no different from ordinary people's schools. It's just that the courses they learn are different. In fact, many young wizards may not be as easy to learn as Muggle children. No, those who love learning will be the same no matter where they are placed. They will not change from a scumbag to a top student just because they wave a magic wand in their hand." Hermione said, "But I come from a Muggle family. Shouldn't children from wizarding families receive a good magical education from an early age? I'm afraid of falling behind others." Erwin felt that Hermione must have been from Daxia in her previous life. A place like Ingjiang would not have such an extreme academic master. Erwin said, "Believe me, after enrolling in school, you will find that those little wizards from wizarding families may not even know the simplest spells. Not everyone is as good as me." Hermione smiled and said, "You are praising yourself." Erwin said, "What I said is the truth. My surname is Cavendi. Cavendi is equally outstanding no matter which world he is in." Hermione looked at Erwin at this time. If someone else said this, Hermione would sneer and think that this person was ignorant and arrogant. However, these words came out of Erwin's mouth. She actually felt strangely normal. Erwin looked at the time and said, "Okay, the train is about to arrive. Miss Granger, you need to change into your robe. Do you need me to avoid it?" Hermione said, "Mr. Erwin, I don't think I need to answer this question." Erwin spread his hands. "It's not even a sure thing. So what's there to see? Is there no trust between people? Besides, it's just a robe. It's not like changing into a swimsuit." However, Erwin turned around and walked out of the box. Standing at the door of the box with his back to the box, he waited quietly. Hermione glanced at Erwin. The corners of his mouth turned up. Then the changing of robes begins. After a while, Hermione opened the box door. "Okay, I've changed it. You go and change it too. I'll wait for you at the door." Erwin shook his head. "No need." Hermione asked confused, "Don't you change your robes?" Erwin snapped his fingers. The next moment, the suit on his body transformed directly into a wizard robe. There are also lotus marks outlined in purple silk thread on the two cuffs of the robe. Hermione's eyes widened. Is this also a spell? What is the spell? It's so convenient. Can I learn it? Erwin shook his head. It's a pity. This is not magic. You can understand this as a magic item. That's all. Hermione felt a little regretful. All right. At this time, Hermione noticed the purple lotus mark on Erwin's sleeves. What is this? It's so beautiful. Erwin said. The emblem of the Cavendi family. Hermione said. It's so beautiful. Is this a lotus? A purple lotus? Erwin nodded. Yes, it's lotus. In fact, Erwin didn't understand why the Cavendi family's emblem was a purple lotus. If it was just a lotus, Erwin would understand. But in Yingjiang's culture, purple has no special meaning, and the same goes for lotus. Therefore, when Erwin saw this clan emblem for the first time, he thought he had traveled back to Daxia. But this is not a big problem, and Erwin has not explored it. Soon, the Hogwarts Express was getting slower and slower, until it finally stopped. Erwin looked through the window and saw the castle looming in the distance. A smile appeared on his lips. Hogwarts is finally here. Erwin and Hermione stepped off the train. On the platform, Hagrid was waiting there. The huge body looks very oppressive. Hermione looked at Hagrid with surprise in her eyes. Oh my God, he's so tall. Erwin said, in the wizarding world, you will see many different things. This is just the beginning. Miss Granger, put away your surprise. Get ready for your upcoming sorting. Hermione nodded. Malfoy got off the other carriage. I happened to see Erwin. A flash of fear flashed uncontrollably in his eyes, mixed with some anger. In the car, he was stunned. After returning to the box, he slowly recovered. Who is he? Draco Malfoy. His father, the governor of Hogwarts, actually got beaten. Malfoy has decided to write a letter to his father, who is the school director, when he gets back in the evening. He must make Erwin pay. Erwin seemed to notice Malfoy's gaze. Turn around and look over. Malfoy was startled and quickly lowered his head. Erwin raised the corners of his mouth. It seems that Mr. Malfoy has not truly realized his mistake. Erwin felt the need to take the time to hit him again. After all, the Malfoy family is one of Erwin's targets. It is much more difficult to attack the old Malfoy than the young Malfoy. Erwin would not let go of this innocent and stupid second-generation ancestor. Hagrid clapped his hands. Okay, first-year students, come in teams of 4, follow me. I will take you to the castle by boat. Everything is in harmony on board. Soon, Hagrid led a group of young wizards to the entrance of the auditorium. After handing over to Professor McGonagall, Hagrid turned and left. Before the sequel of Neville Looking for Lucky started, Erwin once thought that everything would be so harmonious before the sorting. Neville picked up his toad on the ground, and Professor McGonagall's face was as black as carbon. Various facts told Erwin that the plot was proceeding with a terrifying inertia. The only change is that Malfoy did not provoke poor Weasley and our savior Mr. Harry Potter. I don't know if it was because Erwin beat me up on the train, which caused some shadow in my heart. A group of young wizards, led by Professor McGonagall, walked into the auditorium. In the auditorium, the senior students were already sitting on both sides of the long table, looking expectantly at the freshmen. Erwin could easily imagine what they were expecting. After all, wizards have a bad taste among themselves. That is, they will not tell the younger generations about the process of sorting. If you get caught in the rain, you will tear other people's umbrellas into pieces. Therefore, every year, the anxious expression on the faces of freshmen walking into the auditorium will be a good meal. Chapter 18. Does anyone read it? It's a bit of a standalone game. Can you leave a comment to urge me to update? You can also get 2 free power generation for love. It would be better if the 5-star reviews can support one. New book period. Urgently need data encouragement. On the steps, behind the long tables, the professors have taken their seats. Just by looking at the appearance of these professors, Erwin could already roughly recognize them. Snape, the gloomy half-blood prince with greasy black hair, and Professor Quirrell, who has a scarf wrapped around his head to hide the shady previous Dark Lord on his head. All the little wizards were looking at everything in the auditorium curiously. This place is so strange to them. Even a young wizard from a pure-blood family is the same. Hogwarts is full of legends and has produced countless legends, and they are about to enter here to study, and in the future, they will also come out of Hogwarts. Maybe it will become a legend, or it may disappear into oblivion. But every one of them is filled with hope. Even Arno, it all Miss Granger is the same. Erwin's eyes fell on the ghosts suspended in the air. applauding to welcome the little wizard. When he read the original work, he had been curious, could these ghosts be considered a kind of alternative immortality? The most important thing is, how do ghosts come into being? If ghosts can form when a wizard dies, then there should be a lot more ghosts in the original book. However, in fact, only one ghost of a similar age described in the original work was born, and that was Myrtle. Just when Erwin was thinking about catching a ghost to study the feasibility, suddenly he felt that there seemed to be a gaze looking at him. Erwin turned his head curiously, looked towards the professor's chair, found that gaze. The source of the gaze surprised Erwin. It's Snape. Erwin was shocked. What's the situation? According to the original work, shouldn't Snape be staring at Harry Potter? Why are you here staring at me? Wrong person? However, Erwin hadn't figured it out yet. Professor McGonagall came to the chairs placed at the front of the auditorium. He held a parchment roll in his hand. On the chair was a tattered-looking wizard's hat. Hermione asked in a low voice, "Is that the conscious hat you mentioned?" Erwin nodded. "Yes, that's it," Hermione said. "It doesn't look like there's anything different about it." However, Hermione's words had just finished. I saw a mouth suddenly open on top of the hat. "Maybe you think I'm not pretty enough. But please never judge a book by its cover. If you can find another hat that's smarter than me, I could eat myself." A hoarse singing voice sounded. All the freshmen looked at the hat that was making noise in surprise. His eyes were full of wonder. Erwin frowned. Look at the hat on the stool. He was a little nervous. He has mysophobia, severe mysophobia, and this hat really made him a little bit intolerable. They are shiny, and the most important thing is that some little wizards are very sloppy. There may be a lot of oil on that head. So many years of accumulation. It was so bad that Erwin felt like he was going to vomit. After the Sorting Hat finished singing, Professor McGonagall shook the parchment in her hand. The parchment unfolded. Professor McGonagall said, "The next step is the sorting ceremony. The person whose name I read comes up and puts on the sorting hat. The sorting hat will tell us which house you are most suitable for." Hannah Abbott. Erwin almost applauded. Okay. It's really like the Traveler of Flowing Water, the ironclad Hannah. The Iron Throne, no doubt. And the direction of the plot is exactly as Erwin thought. The sorting hat has just been placed on Hannah Abbott's head. He couldn't wait to shout, "Hufflepuff!" The sound of the sorting hat also represents the birth of another little badger. Warm applause came from the Hufflepuff table. As a little badger who lives in peace with the world, other colleges also gave him some applause. Even Slytherin, who has always been proud. Professor McGonagall continued reading the names. Draco Malfoy. Malfoy stepped forward and subconsciously took 2 steps away from Erwin when he passed by him. Erwin laughed dumbly. As soon as the sorting hat touched Malfoy's head, he couldn't wait to shout, "Slytherin!" Malfoy's face broke into a smile. The Malfoy family is doomed to Slytherin, and there will be no accidents. It should be said that almost all pure-blood families are destined to be Slytherins, except for a certain alien who can turn into a dog. Just like the red-haired poor guy after Malfoy is destined to be Gryffindor. Harry Potter. When Professor McGonagall shouted these 4 words, there was a sudden silence in the auditorium. The professors sat up slightly. Erwin saw Dumbledore, who was leaning on the chair. He also sat up straight. All the students were also talking about it. Harry Potter. These 4 words are really famous in the wizarding world. The sorting hat took a little longer this time. It's weighing up where to put Harry Potter. However, Erwin felt the sorting hat may be wondering whether to put Harry Potter in Gryffindor. Dumbledore specified that he had told the sorting hat in advance. However, the sorting hat is still struggling. Erwin had an unlikely guess. If he goes by his initial thoughts, the sorting hat has the will of Gryffindor and will use power for personal gain. Put good students in Gryffindor. Does that mean that Harry's qualifications are so poor that the sorting hat doesn't want to put him in Gryffindor? Erwin speculated maliciously in his heart. After all, in the original book, Harry Potter is actually quite stupid. If Lao Deng hadn't paved the way step by step, this guy would have died 100 times. I have no brains and no strength. I finally escaped from the misery of my aunt's family, not to mention studying hard to change my future. I still mess around every day. If this kind of person is not the protagonist, he really has no future. The sorting hat is still there. Erwin clearly saw that Dumbledore's fist was hardened. Erwin estimated that after returning, the sorting hat might be severely punished by Dumbledore. In the end, the result was of course the same as the original work, and Harry Potter was assigned to Gryffindor. The Gryffindor students went crazy. He shouted excitedly, "Great! We have Potter! We have Potter!" Erwin raised the corners of his mouth. Yes, you have Potter. I hope that when you see your college's scores dropping every day, you can still remember your cheers and joy when you got Potter today. Harry Potter was also very happy to be sorted into Gryffindor. After all, people like Ron, Dumbledore, and Hagrid have brainwashed him. In his opinion, Gryffindor is the best in the world. Chapter 19. After Harry Potter, Professor McGonagall continued to read the names. Soon a few supporting players, A, B, and C, passed by. Then Professor McGonagall shouted, "Hermione Granger!" Erwin clearly felt the body of the know-all lady beside him stiffened suddenly. If he hadn't been in the Great Hall of Hogwarts, Erwin would have thought it was some kind of special ceremony. This know-it-all lady is incredibly nervous. Hermione turned to look at Erwin. Erwin said, "It's okay. It's very simple. Haven't you seen it before? Don't be nervous." Erwin's words seemed to have a very comforting effect. Miss Hermione certainly looked less nervous. "Lift your feet and walk onto the stage." Professor McGonagall placed the sorting hat on Hermione's head. Good knowledge. With a thirst for knowledge, what a suitable Ravenclaw. But with extraordinary courage, Gryffindor seems to be more suitable for you. Hermione Granger heard the sound of a hat on her head. "I always feel a little uncomfortable." His eyes were wandering around. He asked tentatively, "Can you let me go to Ravenclaw?" The sorting hat wondered. "Ravenclaw? Don't you want to go to Gryffindor?" "Gryffindor is very suitable for you. You will find like-minded friends there." Hermione didn't expect that what Erwin said was true. This hat is really negotiable. Hermione glanced at the Gryffindor table. Those students don't look very smart. On the other hand, Ravenclaw is different. Everyone feels very cultured just by looking at it. Students in the Muggle world are more aware of the importance of a learning atmosphere. "No, I insist. I want to go to Ravenclaw." The sorting hat was silent for 2 seconds. "Okay, in that case, as you wish." The sorting hat shouted, "Ravenclaw." Above the Ravenclaw table, a burst of thunderous applause sounded. After Hermione took off the sorting hat, the face is also full of smiles. He glanced at Erwin. Erwin nodded slightly. Hermione skipped over to the Ravenclaw table. What greeted her was a warm welcome from the senior students. A glint flashed in Erwin's eyes. After his experiment was completed, he came to a conclusion. That is, although the plot has inertia, it is not unchangeable. This discovery made Erwin very excited. What is the most fearful thing for time travelers is that they clearly know the plot and are trying hard to change, but in the end they find that all the plots have been written, and the inertia of the plot will make all the plots return to the right track, and in the end they have done nothing. No matter how many strategies and calculations were made, they all came to nothing in the end. Erwin was actually worried about this too. So on Hermione's side, he did an experiment. The inertia of the plot exists, such as where did Lifu go? But it can also change, like when Hermione went from Gryffindor to Ravenclaw. While Erwin was thinking, several more students were called up, one by one. Soon only Erwin was left. "So, as the protagonist, do you always appear last?" Professor McGonagall glanced at Erwin. "Elvin Cavendi." As Erwin's name was pronounced by Professor McGonagall, there was some commotion at the long tables of the 4 major colleges. Some students in the wizarding world don't know who Erwin is. But those little wizards from the Muggle world are all too familiar with this name. Cavendi? Is it that Cavendi? There will be no one else but him. Some people even dare to pretend to be Elizabeth and Renton, but absolutely no one dares to pretend to be Cavendi. Oh my God. I actually saw Cavendi alive. He will also become our classmate. Cavendi? Is he famous? Of course he is famous. Renton has a saying, when night falls, Renton's surname is Cavendi. Then what does he do? He is a legend in the Muggle world. The young wizards in the Muggle world all started talking at this time, and kept popularizing the deeds of the Cavendi family with the students next to them. These little wizards were stunned for a while. After all, Erwin's story is really too legendary. Professor McGonagall frowned. "Quiet." A professor came forward. The little wizards finally calmed down. On top of the Slytherin table, Malfoy also heard the discussions from students in other houses. He also understood some bits and pieces. Erwin is very powerful in the Muggle world. It can even be said to be terrifying, but Malfoy didn't take it seriously. After all, it was the Muggle world. Wizards inherently look down on Muggles because they are powerful enough. However, it is precisely because they look down on it that they do not understand that with the development of science and technology today, how scary Muggles are. The outcome of sitting in a well and looking at the sky, working behind closed doors has long been doomed. Erwin walked up the steps. Look at the Sorting Hat sitting there. Couldn't help but frown. The Sorting Hat said, "Hey, little wizard, what are you waiting for? Sit down and let me see what is in your little head. I will help you choose the most suitable college." Professor McGonagall also looked at Erwin, who stopped in confusion. "What's the matter? Mr. Cavendi, sitting here, you should have seen what you just saw. There is no danger. This is not difficult for you." Erwin shook his head. "No, Professor, this is too difficult for me. This hat is too dirty." As soon as Erwin said this, there was sudden silence. The Sorting Hat was also stunned. Then, the mouth opened wide. "What are you talking about? You are so rude. You actually called me dirty. The greatest magic item in centuries. You actually called me dirty." Erwin ignored the Sorting Hat. Instead, he took out the wand directly. This action startled Professor McGonagall. "Mr. Cavendi, what do you want to do?" Erwin said. "I just think it should be given a bath." The words fell. Erwin waved his wand. A stream of water suddenly appeared, rolled directly onto the Sorting Hat. Dumbledore sat up slightly. The Sorting Hat screamed as it was washed away by the water. Professor McGonagall's eyes lit up. "Wonderful silent casting. Cleansing spell. Mr. Cavendi, you impress me." Erwin bowed slightly. "Thank you, Professor, for the compliment." Erwin certainly doesn't have the luxury of a clean spring. He was able to release it mainly because he had nothing to do on the train. He drew a prize and got a clean spring experience card. Erwin felt that this experience card was prepared for the Sorting Hat. After being swept up in the water, the Sorting Hat became obviously sluggish. The face in the hat twitched. Professor McGonagall shook the Sorting Hat. Seeing that the Sorting Hat didn't seem to be short-circuited, I felt relieved. After all, I have never been this angry since the Sorting Hat was born. Chapter 20. Professor McGonagall flipped her wrist and the wand appeared in her hand. With a gentle click, a breeze blew by. The Sorting Hat dried in seconds. Erwin fell in love with this charm. It was very convenient, much more convenient than drying a bucket. Professor McGonagall said, "Now, Mr. Cavendi, can we continue with the sorting?" Erwin bowed slightly. "Of course, as you wish, Professor. I'm sorry for wasting your time. I express my sincere apologies to you." Professor McGonagall nodded slightly. "Then, please sit here." Erwin nodded. "Sit on a chair." Then, Professor McGonagall raised the Sorting Hat, covered towards Erwin. The Sorting Hat was chattering. "How rude! How rude! You are the most rude little wizard I have ever seen. I want to take a good look at what is in your head." The moment the Sorting Hat covered Erwin's head, the Sorting Hat fell silent. Erwin was also curious in his heart. In fact, he has always wanted to know what the principle of the Sorting Hat is. Some people say it is a brilliant legilimency. However, if it is legilimency alone, how does it determine the bloodline of pure blood? Relying on memory? What if there is a person who does not know his or her identity in the memory? Like Voldemort? It was only later that Voldemort learned that he was one of the 28 pureblood tribes, but he was sorted directly into Slytherin. This shows that the Sorting Hat can really judge Voldemort's bloodline. So, how exactly does the Sorting Hat work? Just then, the Sorting Hat lowered his voice and said, "Boy, how can you have such a brilliant occlumency? Even I can only detect fragments of words. It is impossible to view them completely." Erwin said, "So, are you relying on this to sort into colleges?" "It seems like. You can't help me choose a suitable college." The Sorting Hat said, "You little wizard, you are the funniest thing I have seen in these years. But don't underestimate me." The next moment, Erwin suddenly felt a trace of magic coming from the Sorting Hat. "Get inside, Erwin." Erwin's heart moved. I was trying to mobilize the magic power in my body to drive it out. But he didn't expect that when his own magic power encountered this magic power, it would merge together strangely. Erwin was about to ask. The Sorting Hat suddenly said, "So that's it. No wonder. I'm just saying that's it. Slytherin." The Sorting Hat finished speaking. Erwin was shocked. "It's actually Slytherin. Is he a pureblood? Could his parents be wizards?" In other words, there were wizards in the Cavendi family? However, before Erwin could ask in detail what the Sorting Hat meant, Professor McGonagall has taken away the Sorting Hat. "Okay, Mr. Cavendi, go back to your Slytherin table. The dinner is about to begin." Erwin could only suppress the doubts in his heart. Walking towards the Slytherin table, all the Slytherin students gave Erwin a round of applause. After Erwin sat down, the sorting ceremony is completely over. Erwin sat down at the Slytherin table. Many people cast curious glances at him. The same goes for everyone in Slytherin. A blonde girl moved closer to Erwin. They say you are a big family in the Muggle world. But why are you a pureblood? Erwin shook his head. Maybe the sorting hat made the wrong sorting. The blonde girl covered her mouth and smiled. You are the first person in so many years to say that the sorting hat is wrong. The sorting hat can never be wrong. Erwin said. Really? Why? Everyone makes mistakes, let alone a magic item. The blonde was stunned for a moment. She suddenly felt that what Erwin said seemed right. In fact, Erwin didn't know what was going on. It is true that the house he is most satisfied with is Slytherin, but he never thought that he could enter Slytherin. Slytherin recruits pure blood. This is the first requirement. What is pure blood? Of course, it's not just those 28 pure blood families. That's just a few people. In the current concept of pure blood in the wizarding world, if both parents are wizards, they are called pure blood. Of course, Erwin scoffed at this statement. This is a joke. Let's give an example. A is a pure blood. His parents fell in love at Hogwarts and gave birth to him. But A's parents are of mixed blood, so it can be said that there is no Muggle blood in A's body? Same thing. Hermione, half-blood. But after she got together with Ron, she would have children in the future. Will be called pure blood. What a general and ridiculous pure blood division rule. Erwin couldn't understand it anyway. The dinner at Hogwarts is still very sumptuous. It was also the only good thing Erwin found in house elves. They cook really well, and he works hard without complaining. I just don't know how this kind of creature lost the battle. Just look at the performance of the house elf in the original book. Silently and silently, you can cast various spells and capture them at your fingertips. All done with a snap of your fingers. Isn't this more outrageous than a wizard? Unlike the other 3 academies, the little wizards were chattering just for a meal. Make yourself dirty too. There were some voices at the Slytherin table, but overall, it's more polite. Erwin is still very satisfied with this. This is why Erwin likes Slytherin. Although the pureblood family that claims to be a noble family has many things to criticize, but in order to maintain a superior image in front of others, they will pay great attention to etiquette. Compared with other little wizards, it is like the difference between the upper class and the lower class in kindergarten. Although they are both kindergartens, it can save Erwin a lot of trouble. After a sumptuous dinner, the prefects of each college began to lead the young wizards back to the lounge. The Slytherin common room is at the bottom of Hogwarts. According to the original book, this place was originally used by Hogwarts to imprison dark wizards and those humanoid dark creatures. It was later converted into a lounge. It focuses on 2 styles, spooky and dark. Outside the glass is the Black Lake. Looking up, you can see the view of the Black Lake. Of course, it's so dark that you can't see anything, but from time to time a black shadow drifts past, which is enough to scare people. Entering the lounge, a group of young wizards gathered in the hall. Slytherin's prefect, Grotia, clapped her hands. Okay, freshmen, next, we need to conduct Slytherin's hidden prefect selection ceremony. There must be many people who have learned about Slytherin's customs, which are also unique to Slytherin's rules, hidden prefects. At the same time, the door to Principal Dumbledore's office. A black bat got inside. Dumbledore, I need an explanation. Chapter 21. Dumbledore put down the sweet in his hand. Looking at Snape. Sit down first. Don't worry, I know what you want to say. But you should know that the enrollment of Hogwarts is not beyond our control. He is Hogwarts itself and will detect suitable little wizard. Send out the notice. All we have to do is sign it. Snape said, Don't say this. You and I both know that if you don't sign, he will have no chance of coming to Hogwarts. He will not receive the notification. Dumbledore said, Yes, it is true. But, do you think he can hide it forever? There is magic in him. If it is not channeled, it will form an obscurus. You know very well what the obscurus means. It's never something we can control. Snape frowned. But, we promised them that we would keep this child away from the magical world. Dumbledore shook his head. This is not something we can control. His bloodline has already determined his outcome. His fate is doomed, just like his parents. His parents chose to leave the magical world, choose breaking away from his fate and escaping his destination. But in the end, we all know the result. Do you really think he can escape? Even if he doesn't come to Hogwarts, he will be found sooner or later. He is so dazzling. Too good. When those people find him, he will have no power to fight back. In that case, why not let him come to Hogwarts, so that if one day those people really find him, at least he has the power to fight back. He may even be able to accomplish something that has never been accomplished before. A trace of sadness flashed in Snape's eyes. But he is their only child. It is their only hope. They just want this child to live safely. For this, they gave their lives. And they don't even have the ability to protect their children and fulfill their last wishes. Dumbledore sighed. Snape, this is not your fault, is it? This is what he must go through. It's fate, with that bloodline. He is destined to go on such a path. The help they gave us back then, I will always remember it. I promise that as long as I live, I will not let this child be harmed in any way. Snape looked at Dumbledore. Even them? Dumbledore looked determined. Yes, even them. No one can do anything to the students of Hogwarts, and no one can do anything to Erwin. This is my promise. I am the same as you about this child. Full of apologies. Snape exhaled a breath. I hope you can remember what you said today. Nothing can happen to that child. If there is such a day, I will die in front of this child. This is what I owe him. Dumbledore said, I believe this day will not happen. You will all be alive, everyone. Well, it's time for you to go to the Slytherin common room. The selection of hidden prefects should begin. Without you here, there may be trouble. That child, like his parents, has never been a peaceful person. Snape didn't answer. He swung his robe behind him and left in a hurry. After Snape left, Dumbledore leaned back in his chair. The portraits on the wall were also a little quiet at this time. After a while, a portrait spoke. Is it him? Dumbledore. Dumbledore nodded. Yeah, Cavendi. The portrait sighed. Dumbledore. You are taking a risk. You don't know what Cavendi means. In other words, you don't understand that Cavendi entered the magical world. If those people know about it, what will happen? You are bringing trouble to Hogwarts. Compared with those people, the so-called Dark Lord is just a joke. Dumbledore said nothing. A flash of confusion flashed through the eye lenses. He knows, of course he knows everything. But he had no choice. He had his own plan. The moment he saw Erwin, he felt it. Erwin will succeed, and Cavendi will end their fate in this generation. This is the only way he can save Erwin's life. Dumbledore looked towards the corner of the office. There was a portrait there, now covered with gray cloth. Dumbledore came to the portrait. Raise your hand. He hesitated. He put his hand down again. Sighed. Dumbledore turned and left. In the Slytherin lounge, Grotius said, Let me introduce the rules of hidden prefects. Slytherin is different from other colleges. Those who can enter Slytherin are pure-blood descendants. We value strength and interests. Similarly, we are also arrogant. So, even I can't say that I can manage Slytherin 100% well. This requires the help of the hidden prefect. There will be a hidden prefect in each grade. The hidden prefect will be the strongest in the current grade. Every year, at the beginning of school, there will be an opportunity to challenge the hidden prefects. The hidden prefects will enjoy the same benefits as the prefects. So now, let me introduce to you the hidden prefects of Slytherin. The hidden prefect of 2nd grade, Marjorie Helen. The hidden prefect of the 3rd grade, Barton Drew. 4th grade, Charlotte Teresa. Erwin took a second look and saw that this was a female prefect. 5th grade, Marcus Flint. Likewise, he is also our Slytherin Quidditch captain. 6th grade, George Greengrass. And the last one is me, Grotius Selwyn of 7th grade. At the same time, I am also the hidden prefect of 7th grade, and also the prefect of Slytherin. Erwin looked at Grotia. This prefect is a bit interesting. Erwin could feel that this man had an amount of magic power in his body that far exceeded that of a wizard of his age. Selwyn, one of the 28 pureblood tribes. It's a talent. Grotius said, Okay, remember, it's time to choose your first-year hidden prefect. Hidden prefects only look at strength, so they go to the duel system. One-on-one, the one who finally stands on the ring is the 1st grader. Hidden prefect, then freshman. Who comes first? Although Grotia asked this question, his eyes fell on Erwin. Word had spread of Erwin's exploits on the train. While it brought him reputation, it also let many students know that there was a fierce man among the freshmen, and the disarming spells flew around on the train. Hidden prefect, Erwin would certainly not miss it. What a time to gain reputation. Erwin walked directly out of the crowd. Come to the center. With a flick of his wrist, the wand appeared in his hand. Erwin put the wand on his chest and tapped it lightly. Bend slightly. Everyone, my name is Elvin Cavendi. Since no one comes out, I will be the first challenger. Chapter 22. All the freshmen looked at each other. I want to come up, but I don't dare. After all, they are all young wizards who have just entered school, even if they know a little bit of magic. but compared to the disarming spell, it is far inferior. Several prefects on the side looked at this scene with surprise. After all, they've been there. In fact, the selection of hidden prefects in the first grade is the most peaceful, because the little wizard doesn't know any magic spells at all. Therefore, there is usually a particularly outstanding appearance. He will become the hidden prefect of the first grade. This is already a Slytherin custom. After waiting for 2 or 3 minutes, no one came on stage. Although Draco wants to compete for the hidden prefect, but his butt still hurts. He is stupid, but he is not stupid. If you still come forward to me even after being beaten, isn't that just a sign of illness? Seeing that no one stood up, Grotia then said, since no one challenges, then Erwin Cavendi will become the hidden prefect of the first grade. When school starts next year, will you challenge the hidden prefect again? Qualifications: if the challenge is successful, you will become the new hidden prefect. So now, let's start the challenge of hidden prefects of other grades. Does anyone want to challenge their own hidden prefect? Erwin stepped aside. Watch quietly. There is always some blood among the senior students. So, I also went through several battles. In the end, those hidden superiors defended their positions. It didn't cause any disturbance. Erwin actually enjoyed watching it. The battle between the magic spells is quite interesting to watch. After the battle, Grotia said, there is no one left to challenge? Grotia's eyes scanned the surroundings. Okay, the hidden prefect challenge is over. The first-year hidden prefect, Erwin Cavendi. Others can go back to the dormitory. Brother Erwin, please stay for a while. I will take you to your prefect dormitory. By the way, let me tell you about the prefect. Erwin nodded. A group of Slytherin snakes left one after another. Grotia said, let's go. I'll take you there. The prefect's dormitory is an independent dormitory, which is a small privilege of the hidden prefect. Erwin nodded. Thank you. Grotia shook his head. You're welcome. I have never seen a new student like you, not even among the 28 pureblood tribes. Just after entering school, you have a proficient disarming spell. There is also silence. The magic was as clear as water. Oh my God, you don't know how surprised I was at that time. Erwin smiled and said, thank you. Senior Grotia is also a hidden prefect and prefect. From now on in Slytherin, you will have to rely on the seniors to take care of you. Grotia smiled and said, then you have found the wrong person. Although I am the hidden prefect of 7th grade and the prefect of Slytherin, however, I can only be regarded as a pseudo-prefect. Erwin was stunned for a moment. Pseudo-prefect? What do you mean? Grotia said, that's what it means. As I said, Slytherin's strength comes first, so Slytherin's prefects only look at strength. Erwin said, but aren't you the strongest? Grotia said, but I am already in 7th grade. My age is here, so although I am the strongest, it is because of my age. So, although I am the strongest, I am only you can be called a pseudo-prefect. Erwin was confused. I don't understand. According to what you said, there will be no prefects in Slytherin. Grotia smiled and said, Slytherin is very special, so prefect is just a name. However, now that we are talking about it, let me tell you something interesting about Slytherin. That is the prefect challenge. It is also Slytherin, a true method of selecting prefects recognized by all students at Litlin. Erwin became interested. Oh, what is it? Grotia said, this should be regarded as a legend in Slytherin. Has anyone done it? I don't know, the so-called prefect challenge. It can only be opened by the hidden prefect of the first grade, and you need to fight it one by one. In other words, the hidden prefect of the first grade needs to defeat all the prefects before being promoted to the second grade. Become the well-deserved first prefect. Then you will be recognized as the real prefect of Slytherin. However, I say this, you should also know the difficulty of this. So, theoretically, the first senior officer does not exist. Erwin said, I like this rule very much. Can this prefect challenge start at any time? Grotia was stunned for a moment. Are you really planning to try? Erwin smiled. This is a first-year privilege, isn't it? Why not give it a try? Grotia said, what a great fellow. You are the second person besides that person who plans to try. That person? Grotia said, he who shall not be named. Erwin knew who it was. Voldemort. It is said that Voldemort cast a spell on his name, so that whoever reads his name will be noticed by him. Voldemort will follow the network cable. Bah! Follow the spell and find that person. Erwin sneered at this. Magic was magical, but not magical enough. To put it bluntly, it was news that Voldemort deliberately spread in order to make others afraid. Otherwise, Voldemort would be busy every day? Erwin asked. Did he succeed? Grodia shook his head. No. Erwin smiled and said, then I should give it a try. Grodia took Erwin to the door of a dormitory. He opened the door and said, okay, I will announce the news tomorrow. For 1 year, you can challenge the hidden prefects of each grade at any time. I actually want to witness the birth of the legend. I look forward to you coming in front of me. Erwin nodded. This day won't last long. Then good night, senior. Grodia looked at Erwin. He always had a feeling that Slytherin's real prefect was about to appear. Shaking his head, Grodia felt that he was overthinking. How could anyone really do this kind of thing? The first graders beat the best among the seniors from other grades. This was unreasonable from the beginning. After returning to the dormitory, Erwin looked at the environment of the dormitory. The furnishings are very simple, a desk and a bed. The space is quite large, and it's pretty clean too. After a brief tidying up and changing the sheets and bedding, Erwin was lying on the bed. Are Slytherin's true prefects? He was really interested. Look at the Slytherin emblem on the wall of the room. A long silver snake coiled on the wall. The silver snake slowly changed in Erwin's eyes. Finally, it coiled into the shape of a lotus. The corners of Erwin's mouth raised. It seemed that the lotus flower was more beautiful. Slytherin, are you ready to meet your real prefects? Chapter 23. However, achieving this goal is not an easy task. When it comes to competition among students, you can't just take the cake. Then Erwin will have to be imprisoned in Azkaban the next day. And if black magic is not used, Erwin's current magic reserves are a bit weak. Erwin had just observed the hidden prefects and had a rough estimate of their strength. Erwin estimated that the most he could do now was fight against the fifth-year hidden prefect. Of course, this does not count as black magic. If the Unforgivable Curse were included, Erwin would be able to blow the minds of this group of jerky students. Erwin thought for a moment and realized that he was actually not weak in terms of magic spells. If you have more control over the magic spell, it will indeed increase your combat power. But similarly, it is not uncommon for one trick to be used all over the world. Didn't you see that our savior used the disarming spell to confront Voldemort in the last Deathly Hallows? Therefore, although the only spells Erwin uses in battle now are the Iron Armor Curse and the Disarming Curse, 1 defense and 1 attack. But if you practice these two well, it's enough. But the magic reserve is a problem. Compared with the hidden superiors of the upper grades, his magic power is still a bit inferior. Just then, Erwin remembered something he had ignored. Erwin calling system. Open the system backpack. Take out 2 dark black bottles from inside. It's the magic enhancing potion that Erwin drew in the last lottery, a jerry-rigged version. Erwin keeps forgetting to use this thing. Look at the dark bottle. Erwin didn't know why there was always a scene lingering in his mind. It was an old witch with a wrinkled face. In front of a bubbling, black soup pot, a large ladle as tall as himself was stirring. From time to time, he also showed a ferocious smile. Erwin shuddered. Damn it, is this stuff really drinkable? It feels so unhealthy. System, are you sure that drinking this thing won't kill you? Don't worry, host. Products produced by the system must be reliable. There's nothing wrong with it. Just drink it and you're done. Drink it all in one go, and the effect will be particularly good. Erwin uncorked the bottle. He sniffed it tentatively. To Erwin's surprise, the pungent smell he imagined did not appear. On the contrary, there is a faint fragrance. Erwin's eyes lit up. I thought for a moment. Suddenly he realized. I understand. MSG. MSG is added here. Erwin was speechless. Is this really a serious potion? This is a bottle of chicken soup. Did you survive the pangolin? Erwin took 2 deep breaths. I did some ideological work for myself for half a day. Then he raised his neck and drank a bottle of jerry-rigged magic potion. Erwin chirped. Needless to say, it tastes pretty good. This MSG is definitely made in Dacia. Too pure. After drinking, Erwin felt for a moment. Nothing seems to have changed. Erwin scratched his head. Could it be that you drank too little? This potion cut too many corners. Afterwards, Erwin no longer hesitated. Just pick up another bottle. Just remove the cork and take a sip. As the second bottle of magic-enhancing potion was drunk by Erwin, the next moment, Erwin only felt that the magic power in his body began to surge rapidly. It's like a pot of water suddenly boiling. Magic began to flow through Erwin's body. Erwin's face gradually turned red. Erwin was shocked. Good guy. This thing actually has staying power. Ding. The magic power has increased, and the magic power level has reached the minimum value of the system's magic power. Now turn on the magic power level. Current magic level, level 2. Continuing to grow. The current highest magic level in the world, level 9. Erwin suppressed the riot of magic power in his body and asked, "The highest level of magic power? Is it Dumbledore?" Ding. Dumbledore's magic level is 7. Erwin was stunned for a moment. Stronger than Dumbledore? However, before Erwin could ask the doubts in his heart, because he was absent-minded for just a moment, the magic power in his body went wild. Magic power burst out of Erwin's body, sweeping everything around. The entire Slytherin lounge was swept directly by magic. The little wizards who had just fallen asleep had not had time to react. He was directly blasted out by the magic power. In an instant, the entire Slytherin lounge was wailing. The next moment, several figures quickly came to the door of Slytherin's lounge. It was the professors at Hogwarts. A slight ripple in the air. Later, Dumbledore also appeared at the door of Slytherin's lounge. Snape looked grim. Be the first to rush into the lounge. A group of little wizards are already in chaos. He ran outside in a hurry. They don't know what's going on, but everyone has the instinct to avoid danger. They feel safe leaving the lounge. See this scene. Snape put the wand on his throat. Quiet! Where is the prefect? Take the students out of the lounge. After Snape gave the order, the hidden prefects of each grade began to direct the young wizards to leave in an orderly manner, except first-grade students. Snape frowned. Where is Erwin? Grodia glanced around. He frowned and said, Professor Snape. Erwin, this fluctuation of magic power seems to be coming from Erwin's room. Snape's expression changed slightly. Take the first-year students and leave. Grodia nodded. Then a group of professors came upstairs. The door to Erwin's room. Dumbledore frowned. Magic riot. How could there be a sudden magic riot? And this magic is not weaker than that of wizards who are about to graduate. Magical riot is a stage that every wizard must go through. The so-called magic riot means that when the little wizard cannot control his own magic, the magic wanders around on his own, causing destruction. But there will only be one magic riot for each wizard. This is because a wizard's magic power usually increases naturally, and the age at which the first magic power riot occurs is usually around 5 or 6 years old. At this time, after the magic power riots in the body, the magic power is channeled. After that, in a few years these little wizards will be sent to magic schools. After enrolling in school, studying, etc., you will be able to control your own magic power. The magic power slowly increases and will not escape the control of the little wizard. Naturally, there will be no more magic riots. However, Erwin's situation was different. His magic power suddenly increased through magic potion. Therefore, his body could not be controlled for a while, and another magic riot occurred. Snape said, Is something going to happen? Dumbledore shook his head. Don't worry. It's just causing some damage. It will be over in a while. Nothing will happen. Chapter 24. However, Dumbledore had just finished speaking. In the room, another streak of magic swept out. Dumbledore didn't even react. The magic power has swept over him. In an instant, the entire Hogwarts castle was swept away. Dumbledore's expression changed greatly. Aura-level magic. Heads of each college, return to their respective colleges immediately and take all students out of the castle to maintain order. Professor McGonagall and others nodded. Turn around and leave in a hurry. Dumbledore frowned and looked at Erwin's room. How come a young wizard who just entered school suddenly has aura-level magic? Snape also frowned. What on earth is going on? Dumbledore thought for a moment. Is it the power of blood? Snape said, His parents are not in this situation. Dumbledore was also a little puzzled. In the room at this time, Erwin's ear. The system beep sounded again. Ding. The magic level reaches level 3. As the system prompts fell, the magic power in Erwin's body gradually became calmer. Erwin was already soaked, breathing heavily. Darling, is this the magic potion? It's still the short version. How terrifying would this be if it were a complete magic enhancement potion? Erwin opened his eyes. I was stunned for a moment. The room was a mess. It's like being swept by a tornado. Erwin communication system. Open the system panel. Sure enough, it's under his personal information. One more line. Magic level, level 3. Erwin asked, System, how are the magic levels divided? Ding. The magic level is set by the system for the convenience of digital viewing by the host. For reference only, the first level magic level is uniformly divided into minor wizards. The second level of magic is for adult wizards and can be achieved by a few outstanding 7th graders. The third level magic level is the magic power of ordinary aura. Level 4 magic is elite aura level magic. The fifth level magic level is professor level magic, just like the professors at Hogwarts. The sixth level of magic is the legendary level of magic. The representative characters are Voldemort and so on. The seventh level of magic is an epic level of magic. Representative figures include Dumbledore, the complete Grindelwald, etc. The eighth level of magic power is mythical level magic power. The representative figure is the founder of the 4 major academies. The ninth level of magic power is the magic power of a true god. The representative character is the god of death. Erwin understood that this was what happened. Erwin also planned to ask in detail. However, at this time, the door was pushed open directly. Dumbledore and Snape walked in directly. Erwin was stunned for a moment. "Stand up quickly." "Professor Dumbledore? Professor Snape? Why are you here?" Snape said nothing, and like a black bat, he took a few quick steps and came to Erwin's side. Then he put a hand on Erwin's shoulder. Erwin's heart tightened. Snape said, "Don't move. I want to see the magic in your body." After hearing this, Erwin calmed down. Although I don't know why, Snape seems to be really kind to him. After a while, Snape put his hands down. Dumbledore turned to look. Snape shook his head. Dumbledore breathed a subtle sigh of relief. Then he smiled and said, "Mr. Erwin, you are the first person to make such a big noise in Hogwarts." Erwin wondered. "I don't know what the professor means." Dumbledore smiled and said, "Because of you, all the new students in Hogwarts should be waiting outside the castle now." Erwin was shocked. He quickly looked at the system panel. Sure enough, Erwin's reputation value was rising crazily at this moment, and the rate of increase is extremely fast. In just a short while, the reputation value has already exceeded 1,000. The reputation value is now 1,100. Although the rate of increase has slowed down, it is still jumping up bit by bit. This was an unexpected surprise. Erwin said, "Sorry, Principal. I didn't know." Dumbledore smiled and said, "It's okay, kid. It's not your fault. But do you need me to help you tidy up your dormitory?" Erwin said, "Wouldn't that be too much trouble for you?" Dumbledore waved his hand. "Magic is amazing. It's far more magical than you think. For example, it can restore it to its original state." The next moment, all the furnishings in the room began to change. Go back to the beginning. Erwin had decided that the magic spell was really convenient. Erwin bowed slightly. "Thank you very much, Professor. I'm sincerely sorry for the trouble I caused today." Dumbledore said, "It's okay, kid. Then you can go to bed early. Your first class tomorrow will be Transfiguration. You know, Professor McGonagall is very strict. If you are late, Professor McGonagall will probably not take advantage of your excellence. I'll show you some mercy. Thank you for the reminder." After Dumbledore and Snape left, Erwin frowned. Something is wrong, 99 times out of 100. Dumbledore and Snape's attitude towards him was so special. Moreover, Dumbledore actually had no intention of exploring why his magic power increased. This is very abnormal for Loudang. Erwin couldn't help but think, could it be possible that he has some hidden identity? From the attitude of the Sorting Hat, as well as the attitudes of Dumbledore and Snape, Erwin always felt that his life experience seemed a little different from what he thought. Could it be that he is the orphan of some pure-blood family? That's not right. There is no Cavendi among the 28 pure-blooded tribes. Erwin suddenly felt that he needed to study the history of the Cavendi family. He thought there might be some unexpected gains. Spend a day on the train. Erwin felt tired too. I took a quick shower. Erwin lay on the bed and fell asleep happily. Little did they know that because of him, the other students at Hogwarts experienced a turmoil. At this time, everyone was busy tidying up the dormitory. It's okay for senior students. They can use magic spells. But students in lower grades have a hard time. This also caused all the young wizards to be full of resentment against Erwin on his first day at school. After all, even though the professor didn't say it explicitly, some fragments of words came out from Slytherin. Everyone can basically restore the truth of the matter. The wave that swept through Hogwarts Castle was caused by Erwin. Our client did not know this. He had fallen into a sweet dream at this time. The next day, Erwin got up early. Woke up hungry. I am used to the life of reaching out for clothes and opening my mouth for food. Erwin was quite annoyed that he had to go to the auditorium to have breakfast by himself. I washed myself and walked out of the room. Erwin was surprised. There's no one in the lounge? Erwin was a little surprised. These little wizards in the wizarding world are surprisingly diligent. They get up so early. Chapter 25. Erwin straightened his clothes and walked towards the auditorium. There were more people than ever before in the auditorium. Erwin was a little surprised. Are these little wizards so diligent? It really surprised him. However, when Erwin walked into the auditorium, he realized that he seemed to have misunderstood. All you little wizards, no matter what grade you are in, there are deep dark circles in the eye sockets. It looks like the smoky eye has made its way to Hogwarts. After everything happened yesterday, Erwin was the only one who could sleep soundly. Erwin appears. All the little wizards looked at Erwin with resentment. The resentment soared into the sky. Erwin was shocked. This resentment is worse than that of a ghost. Even Miss Granger, who had always admired Erwin, now had a look of resentment on her face. To be fair, Erwin has been here for so many years. I've seen a lot of different looks. I have experienced a lot of various things. But being looked at by so many resentful eyes was a scene Erwin had never experienced before. Erwin walked towards the Slytherin table. Grodia saw Erwin coming. He smiled and said, "Junior, you have caused quite a big thing. Look at everyone's eyes. You have offended the public." Erwin spread his hands. "Actually, I didn't want to cause such a big thing. But you also know that there are some things that you can't help yourself." Grodia said, "Okay, now that the protagonist has arrived, then, let me announce something." Grodia stood up as he spoke, knocked on the table. "Everyone, as the prefect of Slytherin, I announce that the first-year hidden prefect, Erwin Cavendi, will start a prefect challenge. Starting today, he can challenge the hidden prefects of other grades on any occasion. Other hidden superiors, please be prepared for battle." As soon as these words came out, on the Slytherin table, a group of young wizards were shocked. Prefect's challenge? Someone actually does this? Good guy. I didn't expect that our Slytherin class would be so lively. I'm already looking forward to it. Of course, there are also doubts among first-year students who don't know about the Prefect's Challenge. Among them were Slytherin students, as well as students from other houses. For example, Mr. Our Savior. Harry Potter asked Ron in a low voice, "Ron, what is the Prefect Challenge?" Ron shook his head. "I don't know. Weasley really deserves to be a pureblood. If the other children of the Weasley family were not good enough, just Ron, the Weasley family would be finished." There was a senior explaining to Harry Potter. "After all, it's not before the official start of classes. Harry Potter's Troublemaker hasn't been released yet, but it's still very popular." After listening to the senior's popular science, Harry Potter was surprised. "Fight them one by one? How is this possible?" The senior smiled and said, "So, although Slytherin's Prefect Challenge has always existed, but there are only a handful of people who have started the Prefect Challenge, and no one has succeeded. If anyone can really do it, then he will be the true uncrowned king of Slytherin." Glodia looked at Erwin aside. "Erwin, say a few words." Erwin nodded. "Seniors, please ask for more advice from now on." Grodia looked at the time. "Okay, it's almost time. It's time to go to class. Prefects of each grade, take the students of their grade to the classroom. Erwin, your first class is Transfiguration. Transfiguration classroom, you should be able to find it. Watch out for those changing stairs. They often get people into trouble." Erwin nodded. Several hidden prefects stood up. From this point of view, Slytherin is more orderly than other houses. Under the leadership of hidden superiors, lateness is rarely a problem. This is what Erwin is most satisfied with about Slytherin, the rules. Other grades left one after another. Several hidden prefects also came to say hello to Erwin. Charlotte, the hidden prefect of the 4th grade and the only female prefect, came to Erwin. "Junior, I'm optimistic about you. I'm waiting for you to challenge me." Erwin nodded. "Don't worry, senior. This day will come soon." Charlotte smiled. "Leave with the 4th graders." Erwin was also preparing to leave with the 1st grade students. However, at this moment, he was blocked by a figure. Erwin frowned. The person blocking him was the 5th-year hidden prefect, Marcus Flint. Marcus grinned, and with braces on his face, he looked a bit ferocious. "What an arrogant freshman. Prefect Challenge. I hope you can come in front of me. I will tell you that arrogance is worthless in the face of strength." Erwin was never a good-tempered person. "Really? Unfortunately, your strength doesn't seem to be enough. Get away. I'm going to class." Marcus had a scowl on his face. "Boy, stand in front of me. I really want to deal with you myself." Erwin didn't bother to pay attention to him at all. If he wasn't afraid of going to Azkaban on the first day of school, Erwin would have invited him to eat a big melon. Erwin led a group of first-year students towards the Transfiguration classroom. It didn't take long before we arrived at where the stairs were. Look at the stairs that are constantly changing positions like a disco. Erwin frowned. Doesn't it mean that there are rules for these staircase changes? All of them are twitching like hammers here. The other little wizards were also a little confused. What's going on with this staircase? Who can find the way to the classroom? I've never heard of these stairs being so noisy. What should we do now? All the little wizards turned their attention to Erwin. Erwin thought for a moment. This staircase suddenly went crazy. Is it possible? Erwin had a guess in his mind. Subsequently, Erwin drew his wand. The other little wizards looked at Erwin curiously. Erwin said, I'm only going to say it once. Now, give me a way to the Transfiguration classroom. Otherwise, I really want to see if the stairs in Hogwarts are indestructible. The other little wizards were stunned. I wonder what Erwin is doing. Malfoy scoffed. In his opinion, Erwin was just sensationalizing. However, the next moment, in the surprised eyes of all the little wizards, the stairs began to be rearranged, and soon a direct path to the Transfiguration classroom was spliced out. Erwin's heart moved. Sure enough, Hogwarts as a whole is a wise castle. Therefore, all the furnishings inside are also like this. Include stairs. These stairs have a mind of their own. As for why it was moving so abnormally there, can you think of him as bullying new faces? Erwin said, Okay, let's go. It's getting late. After speaking, he stepped onto the stairs first, and the other little wizards quickly followed.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.